On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will celebrate Star Wars Day by doing absolutely nothing special, because every day is Star Wars Day, duh! There's always time for Star Wars time after all. But fear not, they'll guide you through the first episode of The Bad Batch, while also updating you on other Disney Plus projects like Kenobi and Andor. Matt's got some new Vader lore to drop on your faces too, and if that's not enough, they have a video of the first real lightsaber from Disney. If that's not enough still, they'll discuss a bunch of new high-end Star Wars collectibles to think about, as well as some more affordable options for Star Wars Day. I'm sure they'll talk more Star Wars, but it's been a long day already, so punch it, Chewie!
Hey now, everybody! Happy Star Wars Day, or whatever the hell they say on May the 4th, be with you. Yes, Big Amish, we will be leading with the Bad Batch after we have our little warm-up period, so you may want to take those two fingers of yours and stick them in your ear holes. All right, buddy? But yeah, May the 4th be with you. I'll be honest, Nick, Star Wars Day is kind of silly to someone like myself. Yeah. Because as the announcer said for us, I mean, everyone that follows this show already knows that there's always time for Star Wars time. Which, therefore, if you plug it into E equals MC squared, it also equals every day is Star Wars Day for people like you and myself. So
I was going to say that, like, Star Wars Day, I think me and Matt mentioned this last Star Wars Day too. It's like we don't really do anything to celebrate. The show's not going to be special outside of our Bad Batch breakdown, recap, everything like that. But I mean, we live and breathe Star Wars every week, every day.
And I'm not trying to be like just one of these curmudgeons, like, oh, you assholes having fun on May the 4th. Have at it. I like that it's been marketed and it kind of brings in more of the casual fan base. It allows the licensees to gouge us for more money. But you know what I mean? It's like every day Star Wars Day for the Star Wars Time Show bros. But hey, that's right. If we want to have a special day to celebrate it because it sounds like May the Force be with you, have at it. We got some great new content because of it. So like I said, I'm not that angry of a troll. It's just like it is kind of an odd day. And quite frankly, for a freak like myself that has Star Wars news covering OCD, like legit to where I couldn't sleep last night because I knew Bad Batch was coming. I knew we were going to get a bunch of reveals. And I honestly, deep down in my soul, feel like if I do not get that type of information covered, I'll die. It's not normal. It's not smart. And it's probably the one thing that will one day lead me to quitting doing the Star Wars Time Show.
Oh, because see, we all need to encourage Matt to take a breath, take a break.
Dude, I need help, man. It's like,
you do.
I woke up at 4:30 today. No alarms. I just woke up. I looked at my watch. I was like, well, I probably shouldn't have looked at my watch because 4:30 was still a little too early for me. I did want to get up early to get a jump on the Bad Batch because I do have a real life and wanted to knock out all the Star Wars shit before the day for normal people began. But no, I knew it was coming, so I rolled over, looked at my watch, 4:30. I was like, damn it, shouldn't have looked. It allowed thoughts to come into my brain, which kept me awake. So I laid there for another 45, 50 minutes. And at 5:30, I was like, you know what? I've been thinking about Star Wars Day. I've been thinking about covering the Bad Batch and all the shit I have to get done before the show. It's time to get up and get to Disney Plus. So days like today, while it's fun for most fans, it gives me, as Tony Soprano used to say, a lot of agita. All right? I get worked up for no reason. It's all self-constructed in my head. It's the same reason I get upset when our numbers go down by the hundreds from month to month. And Nick's like, hey, fuck it. It's like, for him, it's like, hey, it's no shit off my back, just rolls off. It'll rebound. Me, I'm like, what's happening? They hate us. They're leaving in droves. We suck. No one tags us on Instagram with big accounts. No one shares our content. And it's just like, blah, blah, me. It's that Star Wars narcissism that I have, and I will admit. But it's a me problem. But hey, I'm a human. And there are days where I just sit there and go, why do I do this to myself? Why? For a show that maybe 500-600 people listen to. Why do I treat it like we are the actual Star Wars show funded by Disney and Lucasfilm?
Because, hint, hint, we may be funded by somebody soon for a future drop reveal.
Until they get our May numbers, which will be an even bigger decline from April. But yes, we do have some special news coming up. We have our first ever sponsor. We can't really talk much about the product yet, but I'm sure we could mention the company. We're teaming up with Manscaped, believe it or not.
Yes. I'm actually really excited about it.
Yeah, so keep an eye out on our socials, especially IG, which did hit 10K and then rolled back under 10K.
It's back to 10K.
Okay, so we might be able to share a link post before we lose more fans. And if you're watching the live stream, I have my favorite content that popped up in between last week's show and this show, and it's probably a good indication of why we may have a little bit of Star Wars time show fatigue, or why we may not have the user base that I want. So if you're in the Discord, you've seen this. I had fun with this. I think it was this last Wednesday, Nick, where this popped up, and it actually stems from something cool. After my bitching last week, someone got us on Star Wars leaks. Yeah, we had our first batch from our source come through of the Kenobi set leaks, and I threw those up on Star Wars Speculation, and of course we can post there. People enjoyed it, and then some, I don't know, through the force. The name was great, Nick. I wish I wrote it down or took a screenshot, because it was something like Obi-Wan go fuck your mom. I mean, it was like one of those handles. It was a play on the Obi-Wan Kenobi, or hey, would you blow me, something like that. But he or she got us on fucking leaks, and we actually got posted and stayed there for a little bit.
Yeah, people. Yeah, obviously they commented that the image quality wasn't the best. Hey, we can't control the image quality, but we can control the content of the shots, and the content was pretty good. Showed off a little bit of Kenobi.
So that was
nice. We
even
have some more of those coming up later in the show this week.
Yeah, so that was a win for someone like myself, because I treat Star Wars leaks as you made it as a Star Wars fan, caster, idiot, whatever. You've done something right if you made it there. So thank you. I would ask whoever did it to try to get our other stuff up there, because here's what happened, and I'm not going to bitch, because sometimes you do need a signal boost even if you think you are better. Bespin Bulletin, they're fairly known on the interwebs on Instagram. They've got a pretty large Star Wars following, and they actually get traction in the geek media. But they've been picking up our stuff and actually properly giving us credit and giving us a boost, so we appreciate that. But they actually got us onto comicbook.com with our most recent round of Kenobi set leaks. It would have been nice if comicbook.com also cited us, because we had a few of those images too, but hey, you can't ask for the world. Just the fact that some of our content that our excellent sources have sent to us is getting picked up and passed around the interwebs. More people are learning about the StarWarsTime.net.
Yeah, and then they can also throw out some fabulous comments.
Yes, and that takes us to this, what you've been staring at. And honestly, I wear this as a badge of honor, but also as maybe a cautionary tale as to why we're not quite as popular as I think we should be. And this is a comment from one of the users, and I mean, Nick, this made my year. And I'm not fucking around. Like, I love this comment. So for those of you that can't see me, let me read it for you. This is from Mike from 5 to 7. Star Wars Time is a show I really want to like, but the main dude is always screaming and acting so silly.
I mean,
that is probably the best Yelp style review you could leave for the Star Wars Time show.
I know, right? I mean, He's not wrong. I wouldn't say that you're always yelling and acting silly, so I wouldn't say it's always.
Yeah.
But you do have some tangential moments where you get heated
up.
or you get a little, off kilter, and that can lead to some fun interactions in the show. So but clearly what this means to me is that everybody who's heard Star Wars Time Show likes me.
Of course,
personally.
yeah. So Nick is the angel. He gets a pass. He's the Jedi. He's the good one, right? He is one with the Force. Me, I clearly embody the logo. I am the unhinged dark side user of this duo, and people picked up on it, and you know what? I love it. I've loved it so much, I've considered changing my name to Main Dude.
Yeah.
Like Main
no
Dude Haywood. That's it.
There we go.
You can call me the MD. But I definitely think we should get this printed up on a special T-shirt or something. I was going to change our banner, but my God, I've been busy today with real life work and Star Wars Day type of content, so I didn't get around to it. But hey, Mike from 5 to 7, give us a chance, buddy. I don't do it all the time.
Hey.
Maybe you caught one of the ones where I was screaming right out of the gate.
That might have been like your Boba rant where you were just like ripping.
That was right from the get-go. I had the flamethrower out, and I was just motherfucking fuckers left and right. But I will say that this is the type of feedback that we like, though. We always say, give us feedback, good or bad. And I don't think that this is bad. I think this is constructive feedback. I love it. It doesn't mean I'm going to change, because it wouldn't be natural. All right.
No.
I mean, the way I act, there probably is a bit of a character in there, getting that animated. But people that know me in real life, I have those fucking blah, 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 moments too about just random shit. So it's just who I am. It is what it is. I love that quote. Ooh, Adrian's in here. Yes, print that, good sir. I don't actually have one of his shirts on today, but we usually have an Adrian Belgar shirt on.
I have a regular.
Yeah, I had to break out my
from
classic. Just got my. It's got the originals on there for Star Wars Day, but
I almost wore my Mando helmet shirt though. But I wear that one so much that like the picture starts.
You've worn it out. Well, hey, there you go. You honor Adrian. He was a great guy. He sent us all these probably about this time last year. Huge care package to SWTS, and we're always down for that. We're always down for that. Like 1/6 shooter, we'd love to get a print of that fine ass Ralph McQuarrie inspired toy art poster you put out today. So we're just putting that out there. We're okay with receiving gifts. We're okay.
Hey, put it up on a shop too, and I'll buy it, because I told Matt earlier or late last week, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. We keep telling the fan base to go out and
Listen to this shit.
Support these artists. But we always just sit there and don't do anything. So, I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop being a dick, and I'm going to go out and put my money out there to these people. So I bought a T-shirt from Super Scoundrel from Devin, and I bought a beautiful piece of art from Savvy Art, one of our favorite real-ass painters here on the Star Wars
and
Time
they're
Show.
clearly not tuned in and listening, so return those as soon as they show up on your doorstep.
Send them back.
Trevor, we'll trade you a hat, brother. I'm still trying to get our freaking pop poopy to start scheduling some more interviews with the talent in the toy community.
With the talent, yeah.
But we can trade some. We can trade a hat for some 1/6 shooter art. I think that can happen.
Yeah, but so that's what I'm gonna do. That like maybe like once a month when I get paid, I'm gonna find an artist out there that I'm really a fan of, or that we've boosted on the show. And buy something from them, whether it be a T-shirt, stickers, a piece of wall art, something like that.
So what he's saying is he's doing it. So now why don't you motherfuckers do it for us? We've sold one shirt to our producer in a year.
Yeah, to our
all right?
PR.
So come on. Come on. And we still have hats. We still have fucking small to medium hats. All these hats people wanted to say they're going to buy, they're still sitting here. Will you guys just start believing me that no one listens or cares about the SWTS? It's okay.
Greg had the audacity on a day where he makes the top 5 to say, so when are we getting the 10K hats?
Well, as soon as we stay at 10K, and it keeps dropping down and up and down. So...
so there's no 10K hats. I think we may be solidly in 10K now, but there will be no 10K hats because the 5K hats haven't even sold out yet. So
But yeah, hey, we hit 10K and then we didn't hit 10K. Yeah, I know we're out of large. I'm just hesitant to buying more hats since they move at the pace of nothing.
Yeah.
There we go. We got some hats wearing. All right, so we are going to. I got a few other just low-hanging Star Wars Day fruit to pick first. But for those of you who have not watched the first episode of The Bad Batch yet, first off, shame on you. What's your deal? I mean, unless you're in the hospital or giving birth or you're dead, at this point in time, you should have seen the first episode of the Batch. So that would be our lead story. We're going to do a full breakdown. It's going to be full of spoilers. It'll follow the video I put out earlier. I would love for you to check out that video even after you listen to our dumbasses talk about it, because I like seeing views and likes and comments. Plus, it drives more traffic to the channel. One thing before I do some more Star Wars stuff, this is just a PSA out there, I think to all humans, but in particular, humans with little humans. The Mitchells versus the Machines is fucking magical.
I've heard that.
Okay?
I've heard that.
It's another just banger, 10 out of 10 from, Miller and what the hell is his name? Miller and Lord. I don't think they directed or wrote it, but they produced it and helped, kind of get it to see the light of day. But it is an absolute gem of a family film. You'll laugh your ass off. If you're a parent, you'll cry. If you're a human who had parents, you'll probably cry too. It's just, It is fantastic. I've watched it twice already with my little one. The second time, I was still laughing out loud and crying and tearing up at times. It's an absolute gem. This is a movie, I do feel bad for the people that worked on it, that they're not going to get a full theater release because of the times we live in, and it's going to be splitting some time with Netflix. But this is a movie that deserves to make every fucking penny back that they invested in it. It's a classic. It's just a beautiful film. Highly recommended to watch with the family if you got them. But I promise you, even if you don't, you're going to get the feels thinking about your own life, relationships, and family members. So there's a kind of a non-Star Wars PSA.
There we go.
Other PSA type of stuff. And we knew this was coming, and we told you all to hold off on buying some of these Star Wars old games that have been ported to new systems. But today, and I'm assuming it's going to last more than today, but why would I check the fine details? I'm an asshole. But all those games are on sale right now, and I have the Nintendo Twitter up because that's where I'd recommend getting these games. I think they probably play the best on the Switch. I'm talking about Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcasts, Episode 1 Pod Racer, Pinball. Doesn't look like they threw up Republic Commandos, which is kind of cheap. But if you've been holding off on some of those ports because Nick and I told you to and you were being a good little boy or girl, today would be the day to snag them, because I believe that most of them are going to be $10 or less, maybe $7.99. So that's a PSA. And the other one is, this comes from our buddy Samuel L. Jackson. He dropped a May the 4th be with you with a fist bump emoji. But what's making waves here, and this is just him playing into the fandom, but Sam used the Mace Lives hashtag, so that was a nice little.
He should just keep that in his shit every day, because like he's been hitting Mace Lives, right? Mace Windu is not dead since. Well, think about Disney it. It's a brilliant signal boost for Samuel L. Jackson's profile. I mean, any day he feels like possibly trending, or getting picked up in the nerd media, all he has to do is hashtag Mace Lives, and here we go. So, brother, I mean, like, I will say that from a prequel perspective, some people had issue with Sam Jackson being in it. I thought he was fun. I love him as an actor, and if Dave and the family over at LFL want to bring him back in some way, shape, or form, fucking do it. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I would love to see one-handed Mace just limping around somewhere in the bowels of Coruscant. Tross opened up the Pandora's box for bringing back characters that should be dead as fuck, right? Yeah. If Palpatine can electrocute himself and then fall down a seemingly endless pit into a reactor. And yeah, I know he shifted his essence or whatever sort of voodoo shit you want to get into. Then so can fucking Mace Windu, right? I mean, we know Jedis can fall from large distances and live. We know they can eat Force lightning and live. So outside of getting a cauterized hand wound, I mean, it was no big deal. He's Mace fucking Windu. He probably landed on 2 feet like a cat. Nobody in Star Wars. Go watch a Star Wars movie. Nobody has ever fallen down a pit and died. Like
that's a good point. That's a good fucking point.
Darth Maul didn't die.
You're right.
Ben Solo didn't die.
You were right. That is an excellent point. I did not even think about that. But no, Darth Maul was the first one that proved to us that if you fall down a pit, you're okay in Star Wars land.
Yeah, and then fucking Palpatine right behind him, and then in Tross, Ben Solo takes the pit dive, and then he's still fine.
No problem.
So we know he's still alive.
No pit, no problem.
Get him back in.
Fucking fantastic. So there you go. I'm sure there's other shit. I know Hasbro did an event, and I didn't really pick up on much. I think they just unveiled some new TVCs. Sorry, I didn't get it covered. Nick was feeling a little loopy. He had to travel to essentially Egypt to get his second vaccine. So after a little real work today, I tried to do some spot work on some of the Star Wars Day reveals, and the Hasbro stuff it didn't come through. So fuck them. I heard it's mostly exclusive based anyway, so I'm sure everyone's having a pity party and getting their pitchforks out. But it's time for the Bad Batch. All right, man, let's get into this. It's why we're here. It's why I got up early today. I'm excited. I think it paid off on what I was wanting and or expecting. Mm-hmm. I think our predictions were pretty fucking spot on. I mean, I think the one thing we missed that they actually left Camino twice. I thought they'd just leave it once and be gone, so we missed that. And I know for a fact now, when we talk about our predictions coming up, that I missed on them running into Rex in episode 2. But outside of that, I feel like Nick and I, hell, even when the trailer came out, hit the large points. Yeah. I'll stop it here because I've already given myself too many fucking trophies. But again, your boy predicted the crosshair thing perfectly. Based on the trailer, as well as the last female clone being special. All right, we've learned.
I like how they did that too. I mean, we'll get into it, but I like how they treated Omega and even the Kaminoans.
Oh yeah, they're up to something. We'll get there. Lama Su, Nala Se, Tan We, they're hedging their bets against this new founded empire because you can tell already that they're like, these guys are fucking kind of off the rails, so we better
we're gonna take a back seat on this for a little while.
Let's just hang tight and maybe help the Bad Batch out a little bit more than we probably should be right now, because they may be the only ones to save our asses once this empire fully takes root and kind of enacts its way of life. But anyways, this is how we do it. If you're new to our breakdowns of a Star Wars property, I use my video as talking points. All right, so if you're on the live stream, you'll be able to see the post that houses the video. We're not going to play the video because that would be kind of pointless, but we will pull up the screenshots and discuss exactly what was going on and maybe speculate and pontificate on what we saw, hopefully to fill in some gaps for you Star Wars fans that aren't quite as enlightened as myself. I typically start off breaking down what I like to call Easter eggs, Star Wars references, and then we'll get into key points / top moments. I use Easter eggs these days because people will click on it. Some of them might not be Easter eggs, but they're definitely references to Star Wars past or future or present. All right, and we always start off with the eggs, and then we'll do key moments and maybe just wrap it up with our overall summary of it. But no, we usually do our overall summary, right? I think we did that. I mean, for a premiere episode, I thought it was fantastic. It started giving us kind of a nice handoff from the Clone Wars. We'll talk about that during our Easter egg segment. But ended on a whole new path where we can kind of see now where this show is going to go, what it's going to kind of cover, the type of topics it'll feature, the type of stories it'll feature. We also know now for sure that it's going to have 16 episodes, so it's a damn near full-fledged season and different than previous Disney Plus properties. Yeah,
they're going the full, what you would call network TV treatment.
I think we might. I think it's going to butt up. It's going to have to butt up with Loki at this point. So this is going to be the first time, to my knowledge, and it's going to go against our chest-beating proclamation that we've made on this show that Disney would never run two of their own series at the same time. But I counted it up. I mean, we're going to get 2 this week, but if you count 3 on, it goes into fucking August, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like a summer
much.
show.
Yeah. I mean, unless they, like, I don't know if they ever plan on doing, two per week
double ups,
down the road,
right.
but I doubt it. But yeah, in this situation, you're definitely going to have a little bit of crossover. And I think they're okay with that because it seems like the Marvel shows are more like special. Like, these are all like special event shows. Like, there's not going to be another season of Captain America and Winter Soldier. That was a one-off. There's not going to be another season of WandaVision. That's a one-off. Loki could be a different story. We know that his story doesn't continue past Endgame, or like it just that's the end of it. So that could be a more persistent thing if they want to keep playing with him in this this multiversal kind of past timeline from Endgame. But I think that they're okay with semi-overlapping these two shows, knowing that they didn't start them at the same time at the very least.
Yeah,
so
I
we're
still haven't.
Right
I don't know if you've seen it anywhere because we've been getting more official articles on it now. I think EW did a hit piece on the Bad Batch, a good hit piece, but I still haven't seen anything as if this is going to be an annual type of deal or if the 16 is it.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything about it extending beyond season 1, but then again, with something like this, again, this is the most ripe timeline.
I mean, it has potential to go 7, 8, 10 seasons like Clone Wars for sure. So
yeah, I mean, you have the opportunity to go as long as you want with this
right.
season.
But for premiere, Nick, I think it did what a premiere needs to do. It kind of looped us. It tied itself to existing animated Star Wars, but also opened up the playbook for new interesting narratives. I mean, they're on the hunt. They're clearly enemies of the Empire, and it's very obvious that Omega is much more than just an enhanced clone like the other Bad Batch. We'll get to it, but it's come up in the Discord, and I may have said it during the trailer, but I think they may be doing some Force trickery with this one. There's some scenes in particular I'll talk about once we really drill into the breakdown. So, great premiere. Even better predictions by us. So go ahead. We're listening to the applause right now. I hear it in my head, and I appreciate it.
Pat myself on the back.
But let's go. Let's get into the eggs. Hopefully, I remember what most of them are just by looking at the images. Up first, I thought it was cool, Nick, that we both got the Clone Wars VO guy, the voiceover guy, like, oh, I'm the last episode of the Clone Wars. That was a nice touch. But they also animated some of the events from Ross, in particular the saving of Palpatine. So that was a nice little tip of the hat to animate some of the live action events from Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, this was huge, Nick, and I can't believe we fucked this up. We talked about the possibility of Order 66 and seeing it again. I was kind of like, we've seen it before, but I'm glad we got it again because the way they did it and the Jedi they chose was brilliant. And like I said, I can't believe we did not think about Depa and Caleb.
I feel like we may have mentioned Kanan like way in the beginning, like when Bad Batch.
All right, I'll take the credit. I'll take the credit. Thank you.
Because I can remember saying like, it could be possible that we see Kanan in the beginning of this, obviously as Caleb Doom before he took on the Kanan Jarrus name in Exile. But I mean, this was fantastic.
I loved it.
I like how they brought back Freddie Prinze too. They essentially just didn't change his voice.
Yeah, no, it's like Freddie just he like, hey guys,
he's like,
hey, I'm Caleb. Hey,
yeah. But it was
no, it was great. I mean, because we've never seen Caleb Doom outside of standing around a holo table in the Clone Wars final season, and that's kind of what I said in my video breakdown. That should tip me off that they were going to be here because they were featured in the final season of Clone Wars.
Assets are already
exactly.
there.
They have them drawn and rendered, so you might as well get them in. But it was nice to hear. I believe this clone captain is Captain Gray. This is a new named clone, but it's nice to hear him like, hey, where's the commander, talking about Caleb, and just hearing Caleb talking about the Bad Batch. And I'll get into my key moments, but it actually kind of changes Kanan's past a bit. So
yeah, it does.
It was all, I loved it. I mean, I love that this is how they chose to present Order 66. So the next egg or reference we get Tech hears over the radio that Kenobi is going after Grievous and kind of has him cornered on Utapau, so that was a nice reference.
I love how they give you, like, they give you that timeline very early. They're like, so you can line it up in your head, like, okay, this is where we are in Rots, and we're getting close. We're getting close.
And then within a few minutes, Tech starts hearing the Order 66 chatter. And we know what's happening. They don't because we called it because they are defective. Their chips don't quite function like the other clones.
All but one. Yes. Crosshair's got a little. He's like, good soldiers obey orders.
Well, they do ultimately explain it. Like his chip did kick in when the order was said. It just wasn't like the regular clones. It wasn't as powerful. But we did get to see Order 66, so we got to see the murder of Depa and the new lore escape of Caleb Doom. So I loved it. I mean, I know they changed the lore. This was established in a comic book run, which I highly recommend checking out still. It just explains how Caleb Doom becomes Kanan Jarrus. But now we know for sure, new canon, that Hunter from the Bad Batch is the reason Caleb Doom, a.k.a. Kanan Jarrus, was allowed to survive Order 66. So I love that they gave the Bad Batch kind of that honor. All right, that just gives them more credence within the universe, a little more weight towards the canon. So that was a nice little callback. Mm-hmm. We saw a dead Jedi. All right, I got a screen. I was looking at her hands. They're purple, and they were green with some purple inlays. I was wondering if it was Luminara, but I don't think it is.
I've heard that. I think one of our fans in the question thinks it's Shak T. It's definitely female.
Shak T was orange as fuck,
Shak T would have way bigger, like you would see her Montrals,
and she's looks just orange. Kind of like that's the big difference.
So it's not Shak T purely based off of like the head tendrils.
Yeah, and the only green I can remember is Luminar, at least introduced Jedi. Clearly there was hundreds or thousands that we didn't know about, but
exactly. I don't know if somebody has like a bead on potentially what the lightsaber, if they have like an idea based off of the lightsaber hilt.
Yeah, it had gold inlays, design. Like it was very Mace Windu-ish. It had gold inlays, but at first I wasn't even going to include it. But I was like, hey, fuck it, they'll probably yell at me because I didn't mention the dead Jedi. So there you go, dead Jedi. All right, so when they're in their stinky barracks, I like that the Bad Batch stuff that smells good to them is stuff that smells like shit. That was a pretty fun joke that running throughout the episode. Mm-hmm. But in this shot here, we get a great line from Tech that echoes a line Kenobi delivered to Luke in A New Hope when he explains to Echo, like, yeah, you're not an enhanced clone, but the reason your chip didn't work is because you are more machine now than man.
Yeah, exactly. That was a beautiful callback.
Right, so that's a nice little reference.
Call forward, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. This is a no-brainer here. We got to see a different perspective of the Empire Day speech from Emperor Palpatine. I liked Wrecker making fun of his new appearance. You gotta love Wrecker, man. That guy. I know some people don't like him, but he is a perfect meathead character and comic relief. I love him. Yeah,
I mean, he essentially takes the role that the droids did.
Yeah, he's like a big dummy.
Clone Wars or Rebels. Yeah, he's just like the comic relief guy who
I like his little. How about his little Lula stuffed animal? Oh man,
I love. He's a softie.
I loved Wrecker from the get go. He's always been my favorite Batcher. Okay, so we kind of get a throwback to a scene from Attack of the Clones here. It's the same room that Kenobi met with Lama Su and Tan We to discuss the clones that the Republic ordered, yet the Jedi didn't know about. And here in this episode, we had kind of Tarkin talking opposite. He's trying to figure out if the clones should be kept or basically the program should be ended. So it's full circle now. Back in this room, we went from their creation to this is the end of the road for the clones.
Their potential demise. I also want to throw out here that this gives further credence to the idea of bad aim for stormtroopers in episode 4, because the Kaminoans say, like, well, if you use conscripted soldiers, they're not going to be anywhere near as efficient
Right.
as deadly as clones.
Did you find it funny, though? I mean, I guess you wouldn't, because Tarkin is an arrogant narcissist like myself. But did you think it's funny? It's like, well, yeah, conscripted soldiers will be better because I'll train them and they're cheaper. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Okay, well,
like,
good luck with that, pal, because they become the laughing stock of the galaxy with their pew-pews. Yeah. No, good point there, Nick. Okay, we knew this was coming from the trailers, but this is a callback to like the first season of Clone Wars. It's one of the bigger episodes because it's where some of the named clones become famous, and that's because of the training room and the training they go through and the trials and tribulations. So, as we predicted, the Bad Batch was going to be tested by Tarkin, and they surely were, and he even used live fire. So, I mean, we've known Tarkin doesn't like clones from the Clone Wars. This isn't anything new. I mean, the guy. He's an asshole. We know this.
Yeah.
Even as an admiral, he was a big dick. Within the training room, and we knew this was coming, but I got to mention it because it is a Aggie and a reference. But those white troopers, come on, those are models for the Dark Trooper. I mean, their heads are right on. But we also got to call back to Felucia when they have to explain to Wrecker what the hand signals are.
Hand signs.
Tech's like, dude, just memorize them. He's like, you tell me. And he said, what we did in Felucia. He's like, why did you just say that the first time? He says, I love that. I mean, he's like the Hulk, man. You got to love him.
Yeah,
so
I do. I love
good double reference there. And here it is. I was fighting myself in my trailer breakdown. I at first was like, that's Saul. And then I was like, no, it's not. But it is. So I love that Tarkin send them to Onderon. I mean, that's Saul's system. That's where the Jedi trained Saul to be an insurgent. So not only do we get the Saul Easter egg, but we also start to see how fucked up already the galaxy is. It's already pitting its Republic heroes against the Empire as insurgents and people that should be taken out.
Yeah, literally not even like day zero. Yeah. Not even day one.
It just happened.
Like
and I'd also wager, just based on the kind of the good speech that Saul delivers to the Bad Batch, that this was the start of the rebellion of Saul's cell, if anything else. So
yeah, the first fragment of the rebellion
100%.
starting to form. So
100%. So I did like that. That's a big egg and reference. They're already busting out the Imperial probe droids. Again, it's like
they must have had those motherfuckers ready for a while.
Tarkin had them right in his shuttle to kick out of Kamino at moment's notice. So they are in there and they were spying on the batch. All right, so I put this in a reference because it does confirm that the Bad Batch did have the inhibitor chips, but it also explains why they didn't turn, but why Crosshairs did. So it is explained that his chip was still functioning enough to when he heard the Order 66, that's when he really went and took that hard turn. He's always been a dickhead. He's always kind of had an edge to him. But you knew something was up right there on Collar when he could not help himself from trying to murder Caleb. He just couldn't help himself.
Yeah. So like, and this is something that we may want to talk about later or whatnot, but I'll just pose the question to you now. Do you think that if they didn't get their hands on him like this and enhance that chip power, do you think he would have made the full turn?
No.
No. Okay.
And I think they did it this way because at this point, I believe there's going to be a redemption.
There's a possibility.
There's a redemption moment coming.
Yeah.
He's going to, it'll kill him, but it's going to kill him to save his friends, probably Omega. I mean, Crosshairs, even before they, Tarkin realized that he was following orders and like basically just shocked the shit out of him and supersized his inhibitor chip. I mean, he was squirrely with what Hunter was doing, but he was still going along with the plan.
I mean, you could tell that he was thinking about turning for a while. Like he's like, he seemed more of like a lone wolf.
Yeah.
Anyway. Right. And then like he was only a part of this Clone Force 99 because he was unfortunately lumped in under the defective clone label. But I did think that it was interesting that it wasn't just a flat bang, he turned, like they actually went in and fucked.
Yeah, and I kind of like that because, like I said, it opens up the narrative for a pretty awesome redemption moment, and I do think that is definitely in the works. He's gonna fuck him up, and he may even take out one of the Bad Batch before he has this moment. But
I mean, shit, he almost did it this episode.
I know he shot Wrecker pretty good. But I do believe Crosshair will be redeemed at the expense of his life. Okay, up next. This is another Easter egg. What the hell were they saying here? I got my notes. Let me pull it up real quick. I forget this last
J19, which is apparently Seleucumai, which is where Cut is.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. So we learn at the end where they're headed, because Hunter's like, I've got a contact in the J19 system, and because I'm a nerd, I looked up J19 system, and sure enough, Seleucumai's in there. And as it would happen, Seleucumai was featured early on in the Clone Wars when Rex ran into Cut Lawquane, the first clone to defect and essentially start living a normal life. And we'll talk about it in the next post when we set up our predictions for episode 2, but the post title literally has the name Cut in it.
Yeah,
so
Cut and Run.
While I thought episode 2 they may be going to find Rex, that makes no sense because at this point they probably think he's just as bonkers as the rest of the clones. And by the way, does everyone else love that the clones have gone from the heroes to the bad guys now?
Yeah, just in like at the flip of a switch too, and then also notice that like the clones went from like their armor that had coloration to it in some form to
they're all losing personality outside the shock troopers. They're all losing their personality, and I've read that throughout the season we're going to start seeing them losing their individual haircuts, and they're just going to be essentially machines moving on because of what Order 66 did to their brains. Those were the eggs. Now we're going to get into what I'm just calling these days key moments. I mean, they might be top moments to you, but I found them to be key to the episode and beyond. So obviously the Caleb reveal and that it changed his lore. All right. I didn't expand upon it much before, but Nick, I don't know if you remember it in full, but in the comics, it really just sounds like he runs away and that's about it. Like he runs away and hides and escapes. But now we get new canon and I love it. He's saved by Hunter, almost killed by Crosshair. And it leaves potential for Caleb to weave back into the Bad Batch as well. So that's why I found that to be a key moment and a key change to Caleb's lore, Kanan's lore.
Yeah, I think it also sets up a good potential future encounter with Crosshair and the Bad Batch, because Crosshair knows the kid's still alive. Right. Like he told Tarkin in his report, he's like, they let him go. So that could be another, like you said, weave him back in, but also have that be another point of conflict for the two sides.
Of course.
I really do like his inclusion.
I like the way he was drawn. I mean, hey, let's get an action figure, right? Let's get a hot toy at this point. But it felt like Kanan, and I think that was obviously thanks to Freddie being involved. But you kind of got to see him in action a little bit. You kind of got to see his emotion a little bit. And again, he is now directly tied to the Bad Batch and clones, which also, it may heighten the way he reacts to Rex and the clones and Rebels now, because he still thinks clones were betraying him, because it's not like he got away and he knew that Hunter was trying to help him. He still felt like, hey, your buddy's trying to fucking kill me, pal. Like, whatever you're saying is bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's still a justified response that he has to
exactly,
Rex.
which could also imply that we're not going to see him again, and that's quite all right, because Kanan's story picks up. He gets 4 years of storytelling during Rebels. Yeah, Chaos, you need to get into the animated Star Wars, my friend. All of you do at this point. It's too integral to Star Wars moving forward, and it's just fucking fantastic.
Yeah, just really well written stuff.
I just, this is just more shots relating the key moment of Caleb's escape and how we already started to see Crosshairs getting a little funky.
Yep.
All right, so clearly the introduction of Omega is huge. She's a main character on the show. As revealed by Nala Se, she was the 5th enhanced clone that they made. I hope everyone picked up on that. Nala Se was not talking about Echo. Echo is not an enhanced clone by the Kaminoans. He was enhanced by the Techno Union and turned into a machine, but he was not genetically fucked with like the other Bad Batch, where, this is where we can speculate a bit. Omega was, but more than likely, unlike the other clones, like she's probably not going to have the accelerated growth. I still think she may be a little bit like Boba, where some of her she didn't get some of the boosts that the other clones did. And there is a moment, and I can't forget if I put it here. If I do, I'll skip it when we get to it. But when they're in the cell, it's in here, but is definitely able to sense things or see into the future, because she literally looks at Crosshairs and says, "It's not going to be your fault. Don't worry about it." So, Matt, I'll bring this up now because I was going to bring it up on the Jedi death in the Easter eggs, but I didn't know if we were going to get to it now. Do you think that the potential that Palpatine has been messing with Force infusions with dead Jedi bodies for a while? Because we've always assumed that, like, well, I'm going to cover that in my comic book breakdown, because we actually got new canon that directly addresses what Nick just said. And it's a Jedi we all know and love whose body part he was using for testing. Yeah. So, like, seeing them bring in the dead body of whether it be Luminar or somebody else, do you think that he may have specifically requested, like, hey, if you, like, on a kill that doesn't, like, destroy the body, bring it back in? Here's the deal. I don't. I think all of his shit was being done by the Empire. And maybe like Kaminoan scientists, not the Kaminoans themselves. And that's just based on the way Nala Se, Tanwi, and Lama Su act in this episode. They're still trying to appease the Empire, but it seems like they have some backup plans with Omega and the Bad Batch. I mean, hell, Nala Se lets them escape. Yeah, literally lets them go. It is going to be interesting to see how this series addresses that, because essentially you would guess you would have some sort of closeout storyline for Kaminoans, because you never see them again. Right. Like you never see them. Well, I mean, what it could be, Nick, and this may very well be what it is. Maybe the Empire learns that the Kaminoans were trying to infuse the Force into these clones for the next generation of clones, thinking the Empire would take them on. And it's very clear, and we know because of canon, the Empire does not want the clones. The clones, essentially, we're going to find out they're either going to get recycled out, destroyed, or replaced over time. But, maybe they do find out that the Kaminoans were doing some advanced testing with Force type of powers in its clones, and Omega was the first and last of that type of test, because the Empire is ultimately going to come in and take over Kamino. Yeah, I mean, you have to know that once Tarkin puts the hammer down, says, "Hey, we're done with these clones," it's not going to just be like, "Okay, bye, see y'all later." They're going to kill them all. Destroy this. They're going to kill them all because they know shit. They can do shit. They can clone. I mean, think about it. The Kaminoans are a force that the entire galaxy has to be concerned about, because with their technology, they can churn out a million-strong army in a couple weeks. Yeah, a capable army. So I like that. I like that idea. Maybe Omega is kind of the first of its kind, and the Empire gets wind of it, and that's why they start doing their thing, because we know through the Mandalorian that the Remnant, and probably the Empire before it got blowed up, was working with Kamino scientists who all of a sudden turned into humans. All right, so think about that. I don't know if this was supposed to be like, obviously, Omega is not really the medical assistant to Namase. Like, he's just saying that. No kidding. Because they don't want to say, "Oh yeah, she's the 5th altered clone." But we have never seen a human scientist on Kamino. It's always been Kaminoan. Right. So I don't know if they're in the background. I don't know if they're... That's what I mean. I don't think there are, Nick. And that's why I'm thinking now that by the time we get to the Mandalorian timeline, and the Empire clearly had some involvement in Kamino and its science and cloning, but now we got Dr. Pershing, who is a humanoid. I think you might be right. I think ultimately they'll find out what the hell the Kaminoans were up to with Omega. They're clearly going to want that tech, and they're going to fucking wipe them out for it. And then they're going to start their own experiments, but because all the Jedi are wiped out and gone, they're going to have to start using random body parts, like, as Perfected Chaos guessed in the chat, ding, 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 you're the winner, Luke's hand.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, key moment meeting Omega. Clearly she's enhanced. She can fire a blaster. But more importantly, and Spencer will mention you because you brought it up, but I'm pretty sure I hinted early on that Omega was both female and potentially some sort of force action going on here. She's got some connection to midichlorians, let's say. I mean, literally sensed and saw the future with Crosshair sitting next to him. Picked up a blaster and took out Crosshair in one shot. She's got some shit going for her. So great meeting her. I love the character. I love the New Zealand accent. I think she's going to be fun. And as D. Bradley Baker kind of mentioned in an interview, Hunter and Omega are going to kind of form the Din and Grogu bond that we saw in The Mandalorian. So helping each other, caring for each other. I think she is a great new 5th addition to the Bad Batch.
Agree.
All right, so we got Angry Tarkin here.
Yeah. Before his Grand Moff title, he's still Admiral Tarkin.
Right, and the reason I had this is just I thought it was key that we learned from Tarkin that even before Crosshairs got juiced, he already couldn't help himself but to tell on his friends that they let Caleb go. But this is probably where Tarkin started getting the idea of like, okay, I think I can get my claws into this dude if need be. Mm-hmm. So a good reveal there. Obviously, seeing the insurgents, I talked about a lot of this when we just talked about the Easter egg variant. But if you listen to what Saul says, he makes a lot of great points about war and sides and how shit can kind of shift on a dime. It gives you insights into Saul at that point in time. I mean, he's not fully crazy yet, just willing to kill anybody to make his point. But you can really start to see that, you know, he's lived through the Clone Wars. His planet was getting fucked up. He thought the Republic was there to help him. And now being part of the Republic makes you an insurgent and you're on the run from the Empire. So, I mean, he really kind of lays down the groundwork to the Bad Batch. Like, listen, fellas, that world is gone. Might have been a snap of the finger, but that life you knew is gone. You better figure out how to survive in this new landscape that the Empire is giving us, because the rebellion, as he called it, what would he call it? Civil War has begun.
Civil War, yeah, the Galactic Civil War. He didn't say Galactic Civil War, but that's what we knew it as.
Yeah, I mean, so like I said, I mean, he essentially spoke of the Rebel Alliance right here, a day after the Empire formed, or day of. Saul Guerrero was already speaking into existence the Rebel Alliance that does ultimately take down the Empire after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I will say that, like, I wasn't caught off guard. I was surprised because at first I thought it was going to be a Jedi camp. Like when they were kind of looking at it from a distance and they were just seeing the infrared outlines, I was like, oh man, is this like a bunch of Jedi? That would have been
interesting. That definitely would have been interesting. But because I'm such a douche, when they said Andor, I was like, okay. And just knowing what we saw in the trailer, I was like, I wasn't like, oh, they're going to see Saul. But when they did reveal that they weren't insurgents, they were, you know, kids, families just trying to survive. Yeah. I was like, okay, yeah, this makes perfect sense. Yeah. Angry face Crosshair. This is where he again, you could tell he's starting to get squirrely, but he says a line, it was key. And you're like, at this point, if you didn't figure out he was going to betray them, I mean, smack yourself. But he's like, you should have loyalty to the Emperor already. Like he can't help himself. Help himself. And we have a few more to go here. So the Bad Batch, getting ready to head back to save Omega because we learn here, and again, I just talked about, so I'm not going to rant much more on it, but Tech is the one that kind of figures out, like, hey, hold on. You remember when they said 5 enhanced clones? That can't be Echo. That's got to be Omega, and that's the impetus for them, and Hunter in particular saying, you know what? We got to go back and save her. She's one of us.
Wouldn't it be, now that I'm thinking about it, wouldn't it be 6 because Clone 99 was the first one, or was he just like a genetic mistake?
He was legitimately a reject. Like, I mean, he was the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah. So
these guys from, I mean, I know they didn't explain much in the Clone Wars, but you get a little bit of it here. These guys were literally in a soup dish with the Kaminoans, like, hey, let's make this guy bigger and kind of like the Hulk, like stab there, throw in this DNA there. I mean, these guys, they seemed like they were cooked with specific ingredients.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just like it was, I guess, the reveal to the team that, hey, Omega is one of us. One of us.
This is the moment you talk about.
All right, so I talked about this in full. This is why I am speculating that some of her enhancements do involve Force infusion on some level. She could literally be the precursor for Palpatine's clone body and how the Force can live in that. Hell, she's the template for fucking Rey's dad. Rey's dad was a clone body that mated with something. Maybe Rey's dad mated with Omega the clone. Who the hell knows? But she's essentially the template. Like, this can happen if we're right, which I think we are. I do think she's infused with some sort of midichlorian juice. But she is the template, and I think Nick hit on something. That once the Empire gets wise to this, it's going to get Palpatine kind of thinking and up in his Exegol machine and working on these experiments. Because when we get to my Vader recap topic, I've got some great canon there that ties right into Palpatine experiments with Force user DNA.
Exactly. So next
there
up
he is, Breaking Bad, just like I called it.
Yep, Crosshair in his new suit.
You heard it here months ago, but now it's official, and that's why we have 2 action figures of Crosshair. And there he is in his sweet helmet.
Yeah.
And then I didn't really write anything here. I wanted to remind myself to talk about Nala Se. Nala Se has got some plans with Lama and Tan. Like I kind of say in the video that they're hedging their bets. I think, you know, they in the end they want to make some cash. So if the Empire wants to use their clones, they're going to sell it to them. But I think they know the writing's on the wall, especially with Tarkin's visit. They know, as we are speculating, that Omega is not just your standard run of the mill, even enhanced clone. She's probably even more
further enhanced.
Exactly. So she helps them escape. I mean, she's the one that was jamming the fucking door, giving them enough time to kind of get out of there. And she says as much at the end when she's talking to her superiors, like, oh yeah, it's kind of crazy they got away, that Bad Batch. Should we tell anybody? No, let's just kind of keep everything on the down low because we don't know what this Empire is going to do. And yeah, last but not least was just that conversation between the Kaminoans. So
yep.
There you go. That is the Star Wars Time Show breakdown of the Bad Batch, S1E1, aka Aftermath. Excellent premiere, in my opinion. I saw some idiot review it on one of the big geeky rags, like in Gadget, like, the Bad Batch should have just stayed in the Clone Wars. We don't need any of this. Like, what the fuck?
I just don't understand.
About?
I mean, I know that there are people out there that just don't like new content, and it's not even just for Star Wars. It's like for any, you know, multi-part franchise. They're just like, I don't want it. I don't want any new content. It should stay what it was before, blah, 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 blah. But it's just like when you have an opinion like that, then you can't objectively review anything because anything new, you're just going to hate.
That's what I mean. And you read it. Yeah, I read the article just because, I mean, I try. If I see clickbait, I usually click on it because I'm an idiot. I'm a lemming, right, on the internet.
Your brain is conditioned.
But I read it. I'm like, with it, her topic sentence, English people or English majors, was literally, this is the summary. I fucking hate Star Wars, but I was asked to review it, so now I'm going to hate this thing.
See, that doesn't make any sense.
All right.
I just don't understand it. Like, one, if you're the managing editor of that website, why would you assign that project to that person? Like,
you know what I mean, though. It's like any of those like more mainstream geek sites, or even just mainstream sites like or news outlets, their film editors almost always hate anything that isn't like art house bullshit.
Yeah.
Just hate it. And then, stuff like this, the sci-fi or the fictions or the fantasies, like, oh my God, it's just the same shit. Who needs this stupid dribble? I'm so cultured I can't be asked to watch animated clones gallivanting across the galaxy with a girl who sounds like she's from New Zealand.
It's just so weird.
Yeah, but fuck 'em.
I mean,
You got us. We love it.
appreciate
We love it.
the new content.
Yeah, I like I said, I spoon feed Star Wars into my face all day, every day. I don't give a shit. I'll even watch the prequels as much as you want these days. It doesn't matter. It's Star Wars. It's better than most of the bullshit in this world. Okay, just to kind of wrap on our Bad Batch talk, we usually like to set up the next few episodes, or at least the upcoming episode, but because this week is special and we get the premiere today, and then we'll have episode 2 on Friday, we're going to revisit a leak we talked about live on last week's live stream, but we actually got a little bit more meat on the bone in terms of episode names and descriptions of upcoming Bad Batch. So we already talked about episode 2 last week. It's called Cut and Run, 31 minutes in length. The Bad Batch visits an old contact. Last week I predicted that was going to be Rex, but I think it's pretty clear now based on the premiere and some of the references Hunter dropped. They're going to Seleucami to run into Cut Lawquane.
Yes. And then that was the last one that leaked last week. But in between the two shows, we have now the episode 3 title and description. Episode 3 is The Replacements, 28 minutes long. And it says the Batch gets stuck on a desolate moon. So,
Nick, I mean, clearly it's probably not talking about the Bad Batch being replaced. Is episode 3 where you start to see like a mass termination of the regular clones?
That's exactly where I was going to go. Is like now we're going to start filtering in these conscripted soldiers, and you may start seeing like mass executions of clones, or if there's like we don't know if there's like a bio kill switch I
think you're probably spot on. They could easily turn that inhibitor chip into something that explodes and blows one too many arteries in the brain to take you out. I think you're right. I could also see with how loyal and angry the clones are now. Tarkin just saying like the Pied Piper, like, come on, boys, follow me. And he keeps walking, and then he sidesteps right before the cliff, and then they just are like, they just keep tumbling over like a Looney Tune cartoon.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they'll do anything. I am happy to see that it looks like we're sticking around the 30-minute mark.
Thank God, please.
Yeah. So I mean, you're not getting your typical 21 to 23 minute long episodes that you would get on cable TV, because you usually lose about 5 to 7 minutes.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Nick, they still jam in about 4 to 5 minutes of credits. So
yeah.
The next 2 episodes should be closer to a standard length, 30-minute TV show. 24.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy that we are getting the 16 episodes.
I'll tell you what, though, as much as I was bitching about the 75-minute haul on day 1 on a working day, it needed to be that long. I mean, it was like a little movie, right? And it needed to kind of set up all of the narrative pillars that the writers wanted to construct versus just having you could see where they could have had a hard cut. I mean, essentially, after they find Saul, they could have cut right there. And had a second episode, but I think it made sense to keep that all together and just fully tell the tale of the Bad Batch returning to Kamino, seeing some shit getting squirrely, getting sent on a mission to be tested, and then coming back and realizing that they don't fit in anymore. They need to get the fuck out of there. Yeah. I mean, this was essentially their version of the Clone Wars movie that came out in theaters, which we now know wasn't even the actual first instance of the Clone Wars, but okay. Okay, Lucasfilm, you do you. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that movie was an hour and 30 or something like this. This one was 75. So, I mean, you get a good amount of
set up, like you said, like you mentioned. Like you got everything that you needed. It didn't feel like it dragged at all. In fact, like I found myself, I looked at the clock one time, I was like, wow, this was actually paced really well. It's laying down good information without making it feel like, it's just 2 episodes strung together.
No, I liked it too. I thought it flowed. I didn't feel like I had to be on edge looking for a bunch of shit. I think the eggs and references were very poignant and targeted. So, I mean, I appreciated doing my studious consumption of episode 1, because the first one I have to watch with my remote. I'm pausing, I'm writing notes. I've got the fucking subtitles up so I can see all the shit. And I've gotten better with the second one where I don't watch the whole thing now. I'm just scanning through and finding screenshots. And then tonight I'll probably watch it with the kid just to get her all indoctrinated and caught up with the next thing, Star Wars.
Exactly.
All right, so that's going to put our Bad Batch talk for the episode to bed, at least until we get to collectibles, because we got some Bad Batch collectibles. Big surprise.
Yep.
But up next, we're kind of sticking within the animated wing of the Star Wars universe. We picked up on this last week. Matt Lanner, I believe, was interviewed, right? And some of the quotes were making their rounds on social media, because he essentially said, Nick, that he's not quite done playing animated Anakin yet.
Yeah, it's interesting the way that he said it. He says, so this was his direct quote. He says, "There's some new Lucasfilm animation going on. I've been a part of some things I can't talk about yet. You'll see Anakin again. I never quite put Anakin down, whether I'm doing a video game or something new for LFA." So, also in this quote, like he puts a very clear distinction between Lucasfilm animation and video games. So like, it's not like, oh, I'm working on a video game that Lucasfilm animation is working on. Those are 2 separate entities. So he's saying that there is a new Lucasfilm animation project that is unannounced that he is going to be a part of.
Well, Nick, I don't know if you dabbled on leaks at all today, but some of our friends, some of the known leakers out there, the Jordan Mason guy, put out in the ether that he's heard from a good source that there are animated Star Wars movies in the works.
I mean, like we just talked about, we basically just fucking had one today. Like a 75-minute long episode of Bad Batch isn't necessarily, like there are movies that are 80, 85 minutes long. Like you rarely see one in theaters that's under 80. But like when you get to that length, you're talking about basically a full film. Yeah. And it would be interesting though to see like at this point, what is it going to be?
Thank you. I was going to ask you that if you weren't going to bring it up. Like, do we need it? I feel like the Clone Wars with the excellent end cap of season 7. What other ground is there left to cover with an animated Anakin Skywalker?
So the only thing like what I brought up was you have potential. Like I know that people just have, a lot of people have just basically dismissed the sequel trilogy in that entire era. But like that is an area where you can work. You have essentially 35-ish years between ROTJ and TFA where you have a lot of room to work. And that is an area where you can bring in animated Anakin Skywalker in ghost form.
Yeah, so you want him in as Ghost. I'd take it. I mean, hey, while I'm sitting here saying this doesn't make sense, am I going to burn it down if we get a reveal that there's going to be a Clone Wars inspired movie? No. It's like, come on.
For Clone Wars in particular, like you've essentially exhausted.
It's done, dude. That's what I mean. It's like, it was such a good end and you passed it right into Revenge of the Sith. Like what else could you do with Anakin during that timeline? But I mean, clearly Matt could play Darth Vader too, right? I mean,
but I think like him saying that Anakin again, like there's like, I even think that in his brain, there's a delineation between Anakin and Vader. Like, I don't think that he means Vader. Because I do think that, like, easily you could implement animated Vader into Bad Batch. I mean, that could be, at the snap of a finger, Vader would make total sense in Bad Batch. But for him saying Anakin, you will see Anakin again, to me that's different.
Yeah.
Like it's
no,
not
I know what you
thing.
mean. I've been, the more I think about this, the more it makes my little brain hurt, because I just, the Clone Wars to me should be left alone at this point, because they took a former hater of the prequels, like I want to vomit when I see them, to I can tolerate them now. I appreciate them a bit more because of how the Clone Wars portrayed Anakin. In fact, I watched the final episode of that arc I was talking about last week, where, you know, Kenobi becomes Rekko Hordeen and all that shit. And again, at the end, Kenobi finally is like, yeah, Anakin, I was the one that wanted to lie to you. Anakin's like, you fucking cocksucker. Like, you motherfuckers, why would you do that to me? You just... And you also get to see that the whole fucking 4-episode arc was Palpatine's long game on Anakin and the Jedi. It's beautiful shit. Shit you don't see at all in the movies. So kudos to the animated Star Wars wing again. But yeah, I don't want any more Anakin in the motherfucking Clone Wars era, but I would love to see more animated Anakin. I think Nick has a point. You know, what if they use, we've been hearing about, you know, Rebels sequel, continuing Ahsoka and Sabine. If they're not going to do that in the Ahsoka show, they could do like a mini movie of Ahsoka and Sabine's journey, picking up from the Rebels epilogue.
I think that, like, for that particular storyline continuation, though, there's nobody that really has a link to Anakin. And that's like, if you're trying to work with Anakin,
Ahsoka
and Force
does.
Ghost, yeah, true. I mean, Ahsoka would be the choice spot there, but it's just like you have to have somebody that has a link to him. And I think if you do, here's why I think that Age of Resistance, or not, maybe not even Age of Resistance, post ROTJ, I'll put it that way. Post ROTJ, immediate follow up.
Have him talking to Luke.
Exactly. Hamill is already back on the Star Wars train because of fucking Mando.
Yeah, he likes it again.
Dude, doing the voice.
Yeah.
Like, that's all he did was the voice. And now he knows, like, if fucking LFL sacks up and says, you know what, animated Luke Skywalker with Mark Hamill doing the voice can be a banger, then you can bring back Matt Lanner as Force Ghost Anakin, now openly communicating with his son in the non-Vader form, and you have Mark Hamill himself voicing Luke. Like, that is, I'll watch that.
It's fantastic. I just thought about something, Nick. Would you take this? Because this is, it's about 10 plus years of uncovered Anakin Skywalker territory. The timeline in between TPM and AOTC, really seeing Kenobi and his Padawan function as young Anakin up to teen Anakin that we meet in Attack of the Clones.
I mean, that is another one that just we kind of sweep that whole timeline under the rug.
10 years, right? I mean, it is.
It's a long time.
It's close, at least 10, 8 to 10. I think it's
8. I think it's 8 or 9, because you meet Anakin when he's 9. And then I think you meet him, like, when you see him in AOTC, he's 19. So I think it's like, it's like 8 to 10 years, something like that.
I'm doing a quick search. Go ahead.
But that's a ripe timeline that we just completely gloss over, because you're like, oh, well, you know, it's not really an active time of Anakin. You know, like, it's Anakin when he was a kid. Everybody hated kid Anakin. Everybody even hated Anakin more in AOTC because he was still kiddie and then even more whiny. So, like, they were like, I don't give a fuck about that.
According to the internets, it's 10. It goes, TPM's 32, BBY, attack is 22.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, think about the content that could be covered there. I mean, young like dummy Anakin, training. He knows nothing. You start right from there. He's in his little sweet Jedi outfit on the steps of Naboo, and it picks up right from there. He's got his little braid and buzz cut. He's all Jake Lloyd looking.
Yeah. But I feel like at that, like, if you start way early, then you have to pull in a younger voice actor. I mean, I don't know how much Matt Lanner can modulate his voice. Obviously, as a voice actor by trade, he could go low. He could go high.
I'm not a slave. I'm a person, and my name's Anakin.
Exactly. So maybe he can hit that note for younger Anakin, but Man, I don't know. I think that is one that nobody ever talks about, and you could get some good story in there, because I think that even some of the Gennady animated Clone Wars. No, because
it's still Clone Wars. So. It's
still Clone Wars. So
I mean, I'm talking literally steps in the boo until we see them riding in the elevator talking about falling in the pit of Gundarks or whatever. Right?
Yeah. I think that's an interesting move. I would prefer the post ROTJ, because I want to see more like Luke Academy, all that time period. But I do think that they would be more unafraid to do like a pre-Clone Wars animation.
That to me is more likely. What you're pitching, I would want too, because I would love to see the reformed Anakin. You don't get to see much. You get to see him in the armor dying. He says some great emotional stuff to his son. Remove my mask so I can see you with my own eyes. That type of shit. Before they dubbed in Hayden, you got Sebastian just waving there. He was happy again. He was in his Jedi form. He was with his two buddies. So I would like to see the reformed Anakin and hear his lessons. I mean, if anybody learned anything in Star Wars, you would think it's probably Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah,
I mean,
which is exactly why I keep saying that the sequel trilogy's biggest flaw was the lack of Anakin. Like, if you have one person that is completely obsessed with Darth Vader, and we know that Anakin Skywalker lives on through the Force. We've seen it at the end of ROTJ, and you never bring that character into that sequel trilogy is a travesty.
Yeah.
But you have the opportunity to do that now in animated form if that's what they choose to do.
Yeah, we'll see.
And
we'll see.
I mean, I just think it would be so good. Like, having real father-son conversations like they've never been able, even if it's not Jedi related. Just Anakin talking to his son for the first time ever in a non-confrontational manner. Like, that would be some of the best Star Wars content that you could give post ROTJ. I just think that that's a home run. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know where their brains are at LFL right now. If they do kind of want to still stay away from the post ROTJ.
I mean, bro,
all the
I mean, at least that art I shared with you, and that came from StarWars.com. There was 0 sequel trilogy characters featured in it, and I know it's from that mural, but still,
I mean, but like, even like you said though, the only live action prequel
was Maul
person
from TPN.
Maul. So like, they were like, fuck live action prequel too. They're like OT and cartoons only.
Yeah, that's it. That's where they're throwing in all their money at this point. So I don't think Lanter is pulling our leg. I do think there is going to be some animated, hopefully movie length projects coming out. Who knows if they're going to be theater style or Disney Plus, but
give me a full animated trilogy of Luke Skywalker's Academy post ROTJ. Just give me that right into my ass. Like, I would
look
love
at that.
It.
He wants it right up the butt. I mean, he's bypassing the mouth right to the rectum. All right, so we know what Nick likes. Get him some sequel era Anakin, and he will drop his drawers.
Yes.
All right, my friend. Yeah. Well, we're not talking about Anakin in this one. We are talking about his former brother and his most hated enemy at one point in time. Yeah. And that is Obi-Wan Kenobi by way of Ewan McGregor. And he did an interview last week for, I believe, what's it called? Halston. He's a part of a new Netflix series. So obviously, if you're a Star Wars actor and you're promoting another project, you usually end up just talking about Star Wars because it sells and it prompts people to click. But it was a good read. I still recommend reading the whole article, but I do what we do for all of you because we know most of you can't read or you can't form your own thoughts. So I just break down the important stuff for you and then vomit it up like a mama bird onto StarWarsTime.net. So here's some of the highlights from this interview as they relate to Star Wars. All right, so they asked him about the prequels and how people like me shit all over them and ultimately gave up Star Wars for a few years because of them. And Ewan said, you know what? It was hard they didn't get well received. that was quite difficult. They were universally not very much liked.
Not very much liked, I feel like, is a good way to put it, because I feel like, man, it's hard. It was really an age-dependent thing.
Yes.
With the
and I got excited for each movie, and even while I watched them, but in the back of my head, my conscience was going, dude, you're fooling yourself. You know this is not what it could be or should have been. You know it's not. Quit saying they're great.
Yeah. But you got to figure, for him, that's like 6+ years of his life. Just like
9, dude. They used to take like 3 years almost to shoot these motherfuckers back then.
Yeah, it was 99 was the release of
2000,
TPM,
2002,
and then
05. So
yes,
crazy amount. But you really get the sense in this article. Everyone should read it if you can. As much as he loves playing and the chance to play Obi-Wan Kenobi, the prequels were rough for him to be a part of, to get the fan backlash, but even just to be working on the sets sounded like it was miserable and sucked. So he goes on here. It was
just such a different experience, because if you think about his working life before that, like, he was never really a big action movie kind of guy.
No,
like,
he was hugging a toilet in a fucking crack house as a heroin addict, like physical sets, other people living, like you could. I mean, you watch that Train Spotting, right? Like,
Train Spotting, yeah.
They don't need to pretend shit. They're in these rundown fucking locations. They're all strung out looking. I mean, there's no really acting needed there. But then you go from that to wearing Jedi tunics in nothing but a blue or fully green room with other actors, and you're all sitting there going like, okay, I guess let's pretend we're 3 again and make believe.
Yeah, and 65% of the time you're talking to a tennis ball on a stick in front of you that has nobody behind it. Like, that, it had to be difficult.
Yeah, so they were asking him about his time on the prequels and really the success of new Star Wars, in particular The Mandalorian, and that stuff really got him jazzed up. Like a lot of us. I mean, I know a lot of you you're revisionists. You'll sit there and be like, oh, I've always loved the prequels. I had a problem with them, and I pretty much boycotted Star Wars until the sale and the reveal that Star Wars was continuing. I was like, you know what? It's time to kind of let's dive back in. This is my life. I still love it. I still collect it. I've just had a hard time watching those damn movies. It soured some things for me. But I got back to it. It was kind of the same with Ewan, you know, with the Clone Wars and the success behind that, and the Mando. The fandom doesn't seem as fucking nuts anymore for that period of Star Wars content, because they've moved it to the sequel era. And he's like, I'm really excited about it. Maybe more so than the first ones, because I'm older. I just turned 50 and I'm just in a much better place. I mean, back then he was probably 30 in his late 20s. We all know. I mean,
late 20s if he's 50 now.
I know.
You're talking.
I know when we were in our 20s, Nick, we probably thought we were mature and adults, but you're fucking not. I mean, I'm 40 and I still feel like I'm 10 years old. So
I know.
He probably was a little not fully invested back in those days. He goes on to talk about how hard it was to work on the prequels because of the shitty technology. There's not something to dig into in the dialogue that could satisfy you when there's no environment there. It was quite hard to do.
Dude, do you
Yeah, he basically said the script sucked. Without any environment, it's really hard to bring those words to life. So.
Yeah, it's like, man, we weren't working with a lot script-wise, and you couldn't even see where you were. So it was a little hard. It's like, yeah, man, we could tell.
Yeah, so it was funny.
No like shade towards these actors, because I like, they did the best with what they were presented with.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, read the full article. We've got it linked after you go through StarWarsTime.net. But there's just you pick up a tone from him that, while he clearly appreciates the signal boost of being Obi-Wan Kenobi and the universe, I mean, he is a Star Wars fan, I would say. The prequels weren't the best experience because of the just how they turned out, the fan reaction, and the actual work sucked. It just fucking sucked to be an actor. I mean, we're all sitting there like, hey, I'd go on there and cut off my tits if I had to, right? I mean, I'd donate a testicle. But if that's your profession and you have a method of getting in the zone and you can't get in the zone through the dialogue or through the sets, you're going to get the prequels.
Yeah.
But it goes on, he's aware of the Mando tech and it's got him pumped up. He says they project virtual backgrounds onto this massive LED screen. So if you're in a desert, you're standing in the middle of a desert. If you're in the snow, you're surrounded by snow. And if you're in a cockpit of a starfighter, you're in space. It's going to feel so much more real.
I mean, from what we've seen from our source and from some of the set photos, it looks like he's really in the desert anyway, because they just built the desert.
They read this article
LA.
and they're like, oh shit, Ewan hates digital tech and VFX. Let's just fucking build an arena outside with all these cargo containers and maybe that'll make him happy.
Yeah. Oh man.
But some these are good little nuggets he left for us. So he touched on the fact that he's been doing some hardcore lightsaber and close hand-to-hand combat training. He didn't really drill into it. He actually just mentioned it casually when he was talking about how after his second COVID shot, he had to miss his lightsaber training because, like myself, he got his fucking ass kicked by it. So is it a duel with Vader? Are we just going to see his hand-to-hand and lightsaber skills against the all the pieces of shit on Tatooine that he's going to mix with? Either way, take it to the bank. Just like KK said, you're going to see some crazy ass fights, and he is training for them. So that's confirmed.
I mean, 2.5 hour long sessions. Right. You got to figure that's not going to be for a 15-second scene.
No, that's a
scripted
fight, just kind of like we saw in Trost, the long fights between Kylo and Rey. That is a legit choreographed fight. It's not just your quick shot bullshit. So he is going to have a major duel. We've talked about the problems that could bring with Vader if it's not done in Force flashbacks or in the Force itself, like Rey and Ben, and not face to face. But we shall see. And finally, he got a little cheeky when they asked if he has test screened with a young Luke Skywalker, and I said that's very possible. I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, I think that given the nature of this show,
it's a foregone conclusion.
His aunt and uncle are fucking cast, I'm pretty sure that we're going to see a young...
It's a foregone conclusion. It's just like, damn, I wish I had a son that was about 10 years old right now, because I would have forced my son to become young Luke Skywalker. Yeah, and then it would have ended up like Jake Lloyd and had like mugshot photos with dirty Sanchez mustaches and shit. Fucking...
Yeah,
poor Jake.
That would have been
poor Jake.
For the negative.
We always talk about poor Hayden. Poor Jake. Jake really got the Anakin curse in life. So
yeah.
All right, so there's your update from Mr. McGregor himself, Mr. Hello there. We'll just stick with the Kenobi stuff because not only did we have exclusive Kenobi set leak photos last week, but we got another round this week, and oh yes. The set has been redressed,
expanded.
Yep, that means filming is fully functioning at this point in time because they're starting to break down and rotate through these new sets. And yes, we know the quality is terrible, but you take what you can get when it's a set that you can't even remotely get close to. So you know what? We still may the 4th be with our source. Whether people hate his or her image quality or not, we love it. We appreciate it. About that. But what we're seeing here, Nick, it looks like they clearly tore down the Kenobi hut, or what we thought was a Kenobi hut, and it just looks like they're throwing up like a little Tatooine town, some building facades. I in my head, one of the shots, I believe the third shot we're looking at now. That still looks like a Tatooine hovel, like a door that the Mando came out of when he started blasting people. A part of my brain was like, could that be the Lars garage door? And I'm like, nah, I don't think so. A lot of the Lars structures are underground outside the dome.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know. And you could see some moisture evaporators. It just seems like they dressed up some sets maybe to film like a continuous scene of walking through a Tatooine most town type of bazaar. I don't know, Nick. Did you have any better informed guesses here?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be, I don't think it's going to be attached to the Lars homestead or the Kenobi hut, because like you said, it looks like it's a continuous set of buildings, unlike Kenobi or the Lars homestead, where you kind of have everything's in one little bundle. It may be a larger moisture farm that's somewhere else in the Dune Sea, or, that's, in Anchorhead or near Anchorhead or something like that. But it does look like it's going to be like a more substantial set of buildings.
You know what's weird? If we all remember the first TikTok leak, and notice how nothing else has come out of that guy's account, so he's clearly dead. He has been assassinated.
Yeah.
But it almost looks like some of those facades, but that guy, it seemed like he was driving around like in an open set and not in this arena they've built. But it does remind me of that set where we saw all these Tatooine-like facades, if you will, like the fronts for outdoor walking through the street shots, maybe wide panning shots of Obi-Wan walking through a town, someone else walking through a town. So it wasn't quite as exciting as the last leak, but a leak's a leak. We'll take it, we'll post it, and we will speculate it to hell and back.
Well, now we know that like this wasn't just a set for the Kenobi hut. Yeah, it's like this is something that they're using over and over again. They're using this for multiple setups for multiple different locations, probably all on Tatooine. But this is not like a one and done.
Totally, yeah. I mean, this is something. It looks like they might set it up for a couple days and then knock it down and shoot the next scene. So if anything, if you don't like the pictures, just know that the fact that these sets are being rotated just means that Kenobi is in full swing. No delays. They're getting their shots done, which hopefully means we'll be seeing it sometime in 2022. That is my dream.
Yeah.
As much as we love Mando and how great it's been and how great Book of Boba is probably going to be, this one to me could be the Star Wars live action of all live actions, the one live action to rule them all type of deal.
Yeah, I mean 6 episodes. If we get 6 episodes at 40-ish minutes plus, right there, you're talking a good 4.5 hours, almost 5 hours.
And we're talking primetime Star Wars. I mean, for the most part, I would think the bulk of Star Wars fans that are still alive are always going to be drawn to that era of the original trilogy, maybe a few years up and down either way to account for Mando and now to account for Kenobi and stuff like that. But it seems to be the sweet spot. We're going to get one of the most beloved characters in Kenobi. We know Vader's in there. That's an easy win for me. I think Kenobi has so much potential to be beyond special. Like Luke Grogu save type of moments times 1,000.
Yeah, no, man. There's a ton that could be done here with the reintroduction of characters, with the introduction of new characters, with using old characters. Like it is one of those ones where
lots of fan chubbies and hard THO will be produced through the Kenobi series. Take it to the bank.
It's in good hands. So I'm excited.
All right. Well, hey, guess what? We've got a source across the pond now too. So I'm sure everyone's been seeing all these Andor setups popping up. They literally have just taken over this town in England. I believe the street or the small towns like Cleveley or Cleveley, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But this is,
and it's like
it's from Blackpool, England, and according to some of our people, some of the Brits in our Discord, Blackpool is a cesspool. I mean, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, they're like it's like a shitty Vegas.
A shitty Vegas. Okay.
That's.
But anyways, we now have a source over there that's going to hopefully trickle us some of these Andor sets, but. Nick, this is a little different than Kenobi because they are essentially redressing existing structures and bringing in some like modular pieces to build sets in the real world. Yeah,
this is literally like you can drive down the highway and like you pass this. So like we got these from our source in the UK, but there was a lot of other sites that also picked up some shots from these because you could literally be in your fucking car and just like drive past and just snap some pictures and then keep going.
It's like a visitor center they're turning into a Star Wars type of building, right? I mean, that's what it looks like. It looks like they're on a bridge or an overpass. And they
it's like whatever this is right on the beach. You can see in one of the shots below that it's literally like this building sits right on a beach. I actually think that this is a cafe. From what
it's like they liked it because it's got the kind of like a round oval type of shape.
Very organic, and it kind of already looked like it was Star Warsy, and then they came in and they put the dressings over the doors and windows to give it even more of that like bubbly kind of Star Wars shape to it.
You want to say hi to everybody?
Hi.
Hi, there she is. She's got a haircut.
Hi,
today.
Charlie. There
Looking
we go.
good, bud. I'll see you in a bit.
Dad, maybe Force be with you.
And also with you. I love that kid.
That was perfect.
See, parenting done right. I've fucked up a lot of other things, but I've got her Star Wars correct. That almost made me cry. But yeah, it's Nick. It's like they're just painting Star Wars hieroglyphics and shit on this building, essentially.
Like they're putting like Aurebesh around the doors that you can see in some of like the facade around the top of it. They're also putting some stuff on there as well. And it does like you could see too that it's like they're bringing in stalls that almost look like little vendor shops,
like Star Wars phone booths.
Yeah, something like that. So,
but I mean, Nick, at this point, we saw that earlier set leak when the sun flew a drone or something over it, and that was fully realized like a built fucking town. Yeah, we saw the other one. It looked like they're in almost like a corporate office space. We're thinking it's this like Imperial Conditioning Center or prison or something. To me, it's shaping up like Andor is going as hardcore, real world practical as it can get.
Yeah, and I mean that goes along with what we saw in Rogue One. A lot of Rogue One was practical. It was on the ground. It was structures that were very real, especially when you were on Jeddah. Jeddah was about as practical as you could get in terms of like a big action sequence type of city. And it also seems like, unlike Kenobi, where we're likely going to be on one planet and just kind of stuck there on Tatooine, maybe a few things outside of that for small scenes, Andor's going to be jumping around.
Which makes sense. I mean, for a spy or soon-to-be spy, he's not going to be staying in one place.
Yeah, exactly. So, you're going to have that one city structure that we saw from the overhead shots from the sun. That's probably one planet. This place is probably a different planet. Obviously, the Imperial Conditioning Center is a completely different planet. So we're going to be moving around a lot. And, it's really hard to try to pin down what area of Star Wars you might be on just by these set photos. But like if they use it to where you can see the beach, then you can probably safely say that it's a planet that is going to have
it's Canto Bite.
Yeah,
everyone's favorite.
Maybe this is casino.
Everyone's favorite.
Yeah, everybody loves Canto Bite.
Right. Canto Bite was by water. There you go.
Yeah, it was. There was water right there. They almost that cliff went right down into the ocean. So
Andor's going to go spin some BB-8 slots, right? Remember BB-8 spits out coins because he's a slot machine.
Yeah. Luke Skywalker put those coins in him too.
All right, so there we go.
No, it's a fun set. I mean, there's not a lot you can glean from it, like we said. But it is a lot of set dressing, and they didn't even build this. Like Matt said, this is essentially, I believe it was a cafe that they're just redressing.
Yeah, they're just like, it's modular shit. Like our dioramas for toys, they're just, add a wall here, throw up a poster there, and you are in a different galaxy. I don't know if a lot of people like leak shit like this. I do. It's not so much like, oh, we got a leak. It's more, I like to think, dream, predict, speculate, and then be wrong. So it's kind of a cycle.
Feel like you're in the know.
Yeah, it's a cycle we like to get wrapped up in here. All right, so we're going to kind of take a pause from the leaky shit and the Bad Batches and Disney Plus, and we're going to have some story time with Matt. All right.
Here we go.
Darth Vader number 11 released last week, and boy, oh boy, was it a treat. as I discussed in our last breakdown of the Vader issue 10, things got back on track. He was really just bossing it. I mean, we left him riding on the back of a space kraken about ready to take on the Exegol Fortress by himself, okay? I mean, Vader was pissed. He had been beaten down, literally torn apart by Palpatine, dropped on the shores of the Lava River by Mustafar where Kenobi left him, because Palpatine thought he was becoming too much of a pussy after his first run-in with Luke. So as Palpatine likes to do with Vader, he needs to remind him that the only way to get powerful in the dark side is to have fear, suffering, hate, and then the power will come back in. So we know all that. Vader's been getting his ass kicked, but he's slowly been building himself back. He found the Wayfinder, got himself to Exegol, and he's really starting to feel like, you know what? Fuck Palpatine. I am a powerful sumbitch. And that's where this issue kind of picks up. So right from the get-go, Palpatine's there for the confrontation. And the way it's drawn in the panel, Nick, it's fantastic, because you hear Vader talking and you see him up close in one of the panels, but then you see in a pulled out panel, Vader is literally on top of the space kraken, riding it like a dune sandworm, right? And the way they draw it, they draw it to scale. So you see a little dot, which is Palpatine down here, and then a little dot, which is Vader way up here. And Vader's basically talking shit to him. Like, what are you going to do, motherfucker? I'm Darth Vader. I'm strong now. So Palpatine does what Palpatine does and reminds him that, oh yeah, by the way, you're Darth Vader. You're the chosen one. Haha, that's funny. I'm Palpatine, bitch. And he literally takes the space kraken and convinces it to kill itself.
Oh my god.
So Palpatine uses the Force to have the space kraken wrap its tendrils, its tentacles around itself and squeeze itself in half.
Jesus Christ.
So without even really lifting a finger, Palpatine takes out Vader's space ride right from the get-go. And it's like, oh, Vader, how you feeling now? How do you feel now, tough guy? And Vader's like, hey, fuck you, I'm still strong. So they kind of keep going through these tests of Palpatine, again, just taunting Vader. Like, oh, haha, that's funny. You thought that lesson made you powerful as me. You thought wrong, and he does that and just, rips apart this. You got to see the panel. Watch my video. I include the art in there so you get a better sense of the scale. But it'd be like an ant taking a human and through the Force getting the human to rip itself in half. It was awesome to see.
I will say that like the movies don't do Palpatine justice in terms of his power, like his manipulation, of course. Yes. Like you get to see his manipulation and at its best in the films, but like it's hard to portray that level of power in movies, especially movies that came out 40 plus years ago. So I'm glad that they're not shying away from he's like visceral power.
He's the prune-faced, crippled old man we see in Return of the Jedi with a cane and a hunch. But when he wants to, he can take the supposed chosen one and literally rip him to shreds.
Yes.
All right. So he takes out Vader's ride. Vader's like, oh shit, there goes that. But Vader's still feeling good. He's still, he's still got some testosterone running through his mechanical balls. So they kind of keep the shit talking game. Palpatine's leading him through Exegol, some of the places we saw in the movie in Tross. And you get to see the tanks and the experiments. And literally right there, Nick, in a tank, as Palpatine's talking about his experiments, is Luke's fucking hand. So I teased it earlier, but it really, I don't think it's ever been addressed like this in canon. But Palpatine, through somebody, procured Luke's cut-off hand from Bespin and is using its genetic material to do Force clone experiments. And the timeline I'm talking about is still just after Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. So right then, Palpatine knew what he wanted to do with a Skywalker hand. Okay? Mm-hmm. And think about it in relation to the Mandalorian. It's really no different than what they wanted with Grogu. There's such a limited supply of Jedi DNA at this point in time in the galaxy. Luke's hand is a priceless item. A fully functioning Yoda species thing is an even more coveted item because, well, we now know in The Mandalorian that they were learning this shit from Palpatine's experiments. Like, hey, if you use Force DNA, you can create some freaky shit. We don't know what you're going to create or what Palpatine's doing, but in my mind, Luke's hand was directly responsible not only for the Emperor's clone vessel that he lives in, but Snoke, these zombies that he sends after Vader to fight him that are quite strong. Yes, Gregu, I did see Phase Runner's post, even though he didn't tag us, but I have it captured to feature. It touches on the hand perfectly. Yeah, it's some great art, but I don't know, man. Luke's hand has now become a pretty key item in the Star Wars canon, at least for how the Emperor used it to try to prolong his life and potentially create Force-infused clone beings, which he might have learned from the Kaminoans, just like we talked earlier.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they ever address. So, I mean, Luke's blade fell with his hand, and in the Star Wars run, they did address what happened to the blade. Did they? Like, we saw somebody catch it, right?
No, shit, they did address it.
But like we saw, because I remember like somebody was holding that blade.
No, they actually,
Jedi
I believe,
tunic.
an Ugnaught found it and turned it over, and that was about it. That's where they stopped it. The person catching it was Luke's vision of that former Padawan that wasn't fully trained, because she was getting trained right at the end of the Clone Wars and all that shit.
Yeah.
So
So the separation of the blade and the hand is still interesting. So the Ugnaughts had the blade, and then that's how eventually Maz Kanata comes into ownership of that blade. Right. But then the hand itself is actually scrounged up by Palp. And yeah, that does kind of, open up you could say like the beginning of experimentation for, like you said, these clone bodies for Snoke, for
100%. I mean, I think Moff Gideon's main mission in The Mandalorian is directly tied to the experiments Palpatine was doing with a Skywalker hand.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, the Emperor has proven or has shown that Force user DNA can be manipulated in a cloning process, in genealogy. We can do something with it. And but at that point in time, again, more and more Jedi are gone or hiding still. So, this Grogu pops up on the radar. It's a Yoda species, so it's probably loaded with the Force. And they're like, ding, ding, ding. We finally have a supply of this shit again, because at this point, like I said, hand was probably used up for all the Snoke bodies and Palpatine's vessel.
Yeah. There's only so much juice you can pull out of a dead hand.
Well, you are right, because the reason they have to come back and get Grogu is because when they took the blood from him in season 1, you only get so much. I mean, Pershing's like, hey, we only had so much sample from the blood draw. We need the full body here.
Yeah.
All right. So that was kind of a cool addition to the canon. Like I said, Palpatine already had some freaky Force-infused zombies there that he sicks on Vader. Vader kicks their ass, so he's still kind of feeling like a tough guy. But Palpatine, he's doing his thing. He's kind of pulling them along with a string and waiting to truly show to Vader once and for all, like, hey, bub, I'm Palpatine. You're Vader. You're always going to be my bitch. You just need to relearn it every time. But every time you relearn it, you do get a little stronger because of how angry I make you. So, yes, dear. All right. You got your Star Wars gear on? Yeah. Looking good. Okay, so they're rolling through the Exegol facility, and we get to see, for the first time underground, the fleet. It's already built, Nick. Mm-hmm. The fleet of planet-busting Star Destroyers is already built.
That's what I figured.
Built by the ESB timeline.
There was no way that that those were built post the demise of the Emperor. So I figured that like this was probably something that he was planning for use even in the Imperial days. He was like, you know what? We have the one Star Destroyer, but if we really want to have an unending, unbreakable reign on this galaxy, like if we can mobilize these things, have them out there, then that would be great. So that's not a surprise that those were already in the process of being built already.
You get to see the underground hangar. There's already rows and rows of them, and Ochi's still there, by the way. Ochi's fantastic in this issue because the whole time, like, you remember Ochi was first introduced to fuck with Vader, but he gets fucked up by Vader and essentially becomes like his little lapdog. Because the entire issue, Ochi's like, Vader, man, please, dude, you know you can't beat Palpatine. Please don't get yourself wiped out. You're my pal now. We're bros, right? He's like, dude, don't fuck with Palp. He's unstable. So the whole time, Ochi's like, come on, please, like almost holding his cape. Like, don't go any further, man. You don't want to do this with Palpatine. You don't want to push the guy. But Ochi's the one like, oh, dude, you see those lasers, by the way? They can blow up a planet. So we get even more on the creation of these ships and how they got the planet cracking lasers, because in the next few page flips, Nick, we see, and Palpatine explains it, that the reason they were able to get planet destroying lasers on Star Destroyers is because they had perfected the Kyber crystal technology. But the reason they could outfit so many Star Destroyers with these lasers is because Palpatine had an entire mountain of Kyber moved to Exegol. So, Nick, it's in this room.
Wow.
It's a huge, like, crystal set. But you can see the crystals they're reddish and orange, something we know Kybers aren't by default. And as Vader explains to Ochi, like, you know, what's going on? I thought Kyber crystals were blue, green, and like for Jedi and shit. And Vader's like, no, not for a Sith. For a Sith, they need to bleed, right? Because we've heard that, we've learned that canon from the comics themselves.
Yeah.
And what's going on here, Nick, on Exegol is the Emperor moved in this mountain of Kyber and essentially has like these Jawa-like creatures torturing it nonstop.
Oh my god.
Because Kyber, if you're a super nerd like us, Kyber is a living thing in the Star Wars universe. Just because it's a mineral or a gem, it's not like our diamonds and shit here. It's a living thing that speaks through the Force, speaks to his Jedi, and that's why they turn red. They literally get bled, they're tortured, they're pained just like their user. So to make all these Kybers Sith focused to put into these Super Star Destroyer lasers, Palpatine essentially has a bunch of Jawa torturers sitting there just stabbing it and beating it nonstop, so it's constantly screaming out in agony and pain.
Wow.
So much so that the aura, the force power it's putting off at this point is like blowing Ochi's helmet off, melting his eyes almost. Vader's like, fuck it. He's walking through. Ochi's like, stop, dude, stop. There's too much power now with the crystals. And, you know, obviously Palpatine's feeding it too. But, you know, Vader's like, fuck you, Ochi. Ochi gets his helmet blown off. He's probably blind at this point. Maybe that's why his eyes are glossed over black by the time we see him in Tross. Because they basically are just turned into coals. So Vader's still fighting through, still pushing, still Palpatine's still talking shit. Like, listen, you think you have achieved my level of power, but you have not. Do you feel this energy? Like just throwing all this Kyber and dark side energy at Vader. He's like, do you feel yourself burning on the inside? Do you feel like your skin melting away? He's just fucking Vader up, and Vader's taking it like, just eating it. Like, but still, he's Vader. He doesn't quit, right?
Yes, he keeps going.
All right.
He's not a bitch.
So, Pap, like I said, he's talking more shit to Vader, putting him through more pain, and pretty much saying, you've got to remember, Vader, if you ever want to be as powerful as me, you have to constantly go through this cycle of torture I just put you through, of being broken down so you have your fear back, and then you get your anger back and your hate. That will lead to more power. But the only way to do that is to once again be my bitch. right? But what it does, these words cause Vader to think. Like, you can start to realize that, okay, Palpatine's mental and physical torture of this man is starting to knock him down a few pegs again to become submissive. But what he does, Nick, and I thought this is a brilliant artistic moment. It reads better in the comics, so I still urge everyone to check it out. But Vader has a flashback to the Bespin duel. But he reverses himself with Luke. So Luke is the one saying now to Vader, hanging from the structure, getting ready to fall, like, essentially, Palpatine fears you, but you need me. We can take him out together. So it's now Luke saying it to Vader. So Vader in his head is all fucked up again. Like, he's reversed roles. He's starting to realize, like, yeah, I can't take out Palpatine by myself. He has proven once again that he is way too powerful for me. I do need someone else. I better fucking calm down. And after he has that vision, literally the next page, you see Vader walking with Palpatine, Sly, Masamita, and Ochi with his tail between his legs. He has been beaten back down into a submissive position underneath his Emperor. So I don't know if this is going to end the thread of Vader. Literally started with him getting his arms and legs ripped off by Palpatine and then dumped on Mustafar, and now it ends with him
making it back,
thinking that he was as powerful as Palpatine because of his latest experience of pain, but being reminded once again that no, he's not, and he probably is going to need some help to take him out, which we know he does, and it ultimately plays out in Return of the Jedi. He and his son kind of tandem it. I mean, he does it himself, but it's through Luke's positive words and beliefs in him that he still has some good in him, that he does realize, like, you know what, fuck this guy. Through my son and myself, I do have enough power to take him out.
Yeah, I just need the boy on my side.
He needed that push, but I don't know. Yeah. I really appreciated this issue. It showed Vader's power, but also Palpatine's check to that power. But more importantly, just how fucked up those two were. Yeah. Like, when you watch the original trilogy, Nick, you really do feel like Vader is a yes, sir, I love you, sir, anything you want, sir, you're the best, sir, right? He's like, yeah, all hail the Emperor. Hell, in the first one, I thought he was Tarkin's bitch. Like, that's how docile Vader is. But you learn now through, sadly, mostly through comics, and a bit of the animated series, but you learned that from day one, when he took his first mechanical breath, their relationship was fucked up. Fucked up.
Abusive as fuck.
Well, it's always been. I mean, like I said, even in that Clone Wars arc, Palpatine is the one that orchestrated the whole mission to force the Jedi to lie to Anakin because he knew it would further drive that wedge closer to him. Hell, he even has Anakin duel Dooku by himself again just to see if he's ready. You can see it on his face. So Palpatine's been doing this from the day he walked by that little kid and said, I will be following your career with great interest. And he wasn't kidding.
Very true. Very true. So yeah, I mean, the Vader run definitely seems like it's lived up to what you expected, especially from a post ESB Vader, like leading into ROTJ. So, eventually I'm going to have to go and probably binge read some of these comics that I missed over the time. But, you
can't go wrong with Vader. I know this run, a few of the issues were a little slow, but for the most part, they prove time and time again why this character deserves a spotlight, why he deserves to be the main of a Star Wars something.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if this is so, Matt, I saw this pop up on my feed, but I don't know. Did we have a hard year confirmation for Rogue Squadron?
No, we get it
yet. Okay. So this is from Regal Movies on Twitter, and I shared it with Matt in our Slack so he can bring it up. He says 1 May the 4th down and 2 more to go until Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron. Which basically
break
means
out the calculator. What's 2 + 1?
2023 release.
Thank you.
So hard. It's like a hard stop at post May the 4th, 2023.
Wow. I wonder if Regal jumped the gun or if we just missed the official.
I was gonna say, like, because I had an idea. Like, I don't know if I had said in my initial breakdown during the announcement that it was likely 2023, or if they have hard confirmed a 2023 release date. But in my head, this was the first time that a 2023 date was seriously attached to it.
I'm with you, man. So I don't know. It's odd that we didn't pick this up from the Star Wars account. That's why I'm wondering if an intern at Regal got a little trigger happy. But either way, that's a good find. So here you go. We could be watching Rogue Squadron 2 years from now.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. Never mind. All right. Yeah. I just looked back at the December initial announcement, and it says that the film will be released during the Christmas 2023 theatrical release window. So back to, yes, even like back then they put 2023 on it. So
well,
okay.
Either way, fuck it.
Just wanted to put it out there in case we had missed it before.
Speaking of hard releases, how about what Marvel did yesterday?
Oh, with
did you see
entire
that?
Phase 4?
They're like, oh yeah, by the way, get your ass back in movie theaters because until you do that, we're not giving you Phase 4 because fuck, man, we're right back. If the world doesn't explode, really, even 2021, they're gonna try to jam 3 down the pipe starting in July, right? With Black Widow.
Black Widow.
What's the other one? Eternals,
and then Shang-Chi's 20.
No, it's 2021.
2022. Okay, okay. So
and then after that, it seems they're right back to fucking 4+ a year. They're like bang, bang, Doctor Strange, the Marvels. You got what was the other one? Shit.
I can't.
Fuck, I'm stupid. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Fantastic Four.
Yeah, so that they were like, you know what? Fuck Star Wars. We're going to start attaching some dates to these motherfuckers.
Get fucking ready.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, that trailer made me cry and stuff. I was like, yeah, it was a great trailer, but I don't know. It's like after I saw Endgame 10 times, a lot of the heart punch moments have lost some of their luster. And while it was fun to revisit a lot of the MCU Phase 1 through 3, as much as I love the MCU, it doesn't quite get me like Star Wars. Like if that was a Star Wars montage, yeah, I probably would have been fucking sobbing.
They got me to cry in Endgame, but none of the other movies. Before
Endgame,
really
I was a mess with the I am Iron Man part. That was fucking brilliant. Beautiful. And really, just the whole end. I'm telling you, once you become a parent of any kind, you turn into a weeping mess.
Yeah,
at least I did. Fucking mess.
Emotions are always so close to the surface.
Mess of a human.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy. What are we moving on to next? So we got you covered.
I'm gonna let you run with the Star Wars biomes and fly through thing for a second because I have to hit the bathroom.
Oh, look at this! This is the first on the show. Nick is taking a piss before me. Winner, chicken dinner.
Starting to sweat coming back in from my COVID 2 shot. I know my body may be breaking down soon.
Here he goes. All right, we better pick up the pace. All right, Nick, I'll cover this one while you're taking a shit. Okay, so May the 4th be with you all, as Disney Plus has said, because we've got some new content to play with. Not only did we get the Bad Batch today, the good stuff, the big stuff, but some new interesting little experiences have been added to Disney Plus that we thought you may enjoy. You should see them in your updated app at this point in time. I believe they're global. But the 3 I want to talk about in particular are the Star Wars biomes, Star Wars vehicle fly-throughs, and then The Force Awakens from its nap, which is just a Simpsons short with some nods to Star Wars, of course, and the sequel trilogy for those of you that love Disney Star Wars. But I actually, another thing they did, they refreshed the thumbnail art of all the films in animated, and they are choice looking. I on the live stream, you can see I included a thumbnail of the one they did for the Phantom Menace, but really all the new thumbnail art they included for the films, and I believe even the animated projects, just looks great. It comes from Star Wars fan artists, big and small. But anyways, before we went live, I actually fired up Disney Plus just to check these out, so I had a little bit of perspective before I started talking about them, so I wasn't just blowing nothing but hot smoke up your ass. But biomes, in vehicles, I think not only were hardcore Star Wars fans love, but also those who like to partake in, I'll just say drugs. I could see biomes and fly-throughs being something that people that like to meditate or just zen out as being a perfect thing to just throw on your screen for 20 minutes or so and just kind of have a zen moment, maybe doing some while you're staring at the screen. Because what biomes is essentially just if you've ever watched a golf tournament and they do a flyover of a hole to kind of show you how the hole's laid out, where players may place their shots, you just get a great kind of bird's eye view of a golf course. Biomes is doing that for Star Wars locations. So the one I was watching was Hoth, and it's like you're basically in like a snow speeder slowly flying over the landscape of Hoth. You see tauntauns, you see AT-ATs walking. But biomes, I believe it's just like 20 minutes at this point. It just kind of takes you to different locations, giving you that peaceful flyover of a particular Star Wars biome.
Yeah. So, Matt, have you ever ridden the Soarin' ride in Disney?
No.
Okay, so Soarin' is essentially that, where it's like you're in front of a giant screen. The screen's probably 150 feet high, something like that. And you sit on a paraglider. So you sit on this little platform seat. It's got like a glider above your head, and it lifts you off the ground, and then like the whole system moves and stuff like that as you soar over these landscapes. Okay. So it seems like Star Wars biomes is like a TV version. It is.
It's like National Geographic for Star Wars nerds. You know, I mean, there's no talking, and it always keeps that kind of flyover perspective. But before you came on, I was like, hey, this is probably good for Star Wars nerds and drug users, because you throw on biomes and it just like instantly relaxes you. It's like staring at a menu, but it's moving, and it's Star Wars locations. So it's kind of like bringing Jacques Cousteau of the Star Wars universe into our real world. And then the vehicle fly through is kind of the same thing, except you're flying through the all the compartments and parts of a ship. Right now they have the Falcon and a Star Destroyer up there. I did not watch the Simpsons short, so I can't comment on that, but they're just nice little new additions to the Star Wars catalog on Disney Plus. Some little treats if you're someone late at night that struggles to find shit to watch. Throwing up biomes or one of these fly-throughs is going to be more productive than staring at your menu. So you may want to try firing up Disney Plus to look at these tonight if you find yourself sometimes surfing your apps too much.
Yeah, that'll be a good way to fall asleep. For sure,
everyone, I mean, I'm assuming most people, at least that listen to this stupid show, have logged into Disney Plus by now. But they've really updated all the Star Wars stuff. I was telling everyone, Nick, how they replaced all the thumbnails with fan art for all the movies and animated properties. Yep. It looks like Star Wars Day on the app as it should. So check it out if you've not already done so. But don't do it until we're done. Show us some respect.
We're almost done. We're getting towards the end here. So this next one up is a piece that we talked about last week when there was a tease during the investors call, during a Disney investors call that was specifically about parks and experiences. The tease of a real lightsaber, quote unquote, from one of the SVPs over at Disney. And now we have a full-on video reveal of this new lightsaber, this new retractable lightsaber. And while the mechanics of it look cool, I will say that I do still have some issue with the hilt part of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna risk it here and actually play the video, Nick. It's very short.
10 seconds.
Let people, hopefully it doesn't fuck up my mic or anything.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe Matt may disappear. We may lose him forever.
So there you go. I mean, from a visual standpoint, it's pretty fucking fantastic. The movement of the saber, right? I mean, it really does spring from the hilt.
The hilt, yeah.
But as Nick pointed out, and we were worried about this when we first introduced this, if you look, the hilt's definitely of the beefier variety. I mean, it looks more like a mag light than a lightsaber. You know, like this actress could knock someone the fuck out with her hilt. It's pretty thick. Although, Nick, I mean, I'm looking at it now, I kind of freeze framed it on the site. Knowing that this actress probably is a shorter person, it's going to make it look a little bit larger, but I would say it's as big, no bigger than if you went to Savi's workshop, which we've said is not ideal, but it's not like vomit inducing.
Yeah, I mean, the Savi's workshop ones are definitely large. I mean, I've showed them on the site before. I can go get the one that I have. Like the Savi's workshop blade is very large. You can see I have an average size man's hand, and at the base I can barely touch my thumb to my middle finger.
You know what that means, ladies.
On that blade. Tiny hands. And then the way, she's basically, the grip that she has is similar to this. I have one hand on the actual leather grip and then one hand towards the bottom, and my hands could not touch each other. Yeah. I mean, it's a very large, very sturdy
I'd say it's just about that size, which is slightly too big for our liking. But if you did see the actual video running, I'm sure you could find it if you missed it. They, in my opinion, they do sell the effect of it springing from the hilt.
Yeah. I linked another tweet that actually has one more. It's a little bit longer, and it shows one more angle of it igniting.
Right. Well, hopefully this one doesn't blow it the fuck up. Here we go.
Yeah. I mean, basically, you get the ray ignite from the Tross trailer, where it's like the person standing, you see their back, and then she kind of whips the blade out to the side and ignites it. So a little bit of a different angle. So I mean, yes, I 100% agree that they completely sold the idea of the hilt springing from, or the blade springing from the hilt in a very fluid motion. The one thing that I still don't have any sort of, not just me, but we don't have any sort of idea on is like, how does this function in motion?
Because we know it's essentially a tape measure like system, but how rigid can something that is that foldable get? That's the question.
Exactly.
Because if she starts waving this, Nick, does it turn into like a wet noodle or one of those like optical glass light string things they sell at the circus? Where they're like and lights play through them. The kids want you to buy, or could she whack somebody and it actually not collapse? Yeah,
I'm of the mind that this is going to be pretty flexible. Yeah. So like if you're waving it with any sort of intensity, like that blade noodle is just going to, it's going to flop around
like a spaghetti noodle. Bit. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, hey, it looks neat. They're trying, but really I think the reason they used this for the announce, it wasn't so much this lightsaber. It was to officially announce that the Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel will be up and running in 2022 at Disney World. And apparently that's where these lightsabers will be at. I don't know if you can only get them if you go to the hotel. It seems, knowing Disney and the mouse and their love of money, that they'd sell them at any of the Disney parks. But the way it was written, it sounds like these lightsabers will be specific to the Star Cruiser Hotel experience.
I really do hope that, at least if it is, you can only get it at the hotel, that it doesn't require you to have a reservation at the hotel. Because to my understanding, the hotel itself is going to be directly connected to the park. Like it is going to be one of the experiences where you can walk out of the hotel and you're in Galaxy's Edge. So that would also mean that the people who are in Galaxy's Edge could go into the hotel. So if this lightsaber is exclusive to the Galactic Cruiser, the Halcyon Hotel, then I hope that if you're not a visitor that's staying at the hotel, you can at least go into it to purchase this. But they haven't said anything to that note yet. In terms of price point, a lot of the sites that were running this, or a lot of people that are talking about it, are talking like these Savvy's Workshop blades are $200. Like, but that's for the experience, the build, and then you get one crystal with it as well, and the blade. It's $200, so a lot of people are expecting that these blades will be more expensive.
Oh hell yeah, dude! I mean, even the shit that Hasbro puts out, the Black Series blades are upwards of $200. So yeah. I'm thinking this thing's $399.
Yeah, I'm thinking $299 to maybe $350. I'm hoping that it's sub $400. I
mean, there's one point in time where I was ready to sacrifice people to get a spot at the Star Cruiser Hotel, but then the world ended, so I'm not quite as anxious to get down there at this point. I'd still like to see it at some point in time, but there's still a part of me that thinks humanity has shot its last shot, and I will see the end of society before I die. So who knows? Yeah.
So again, it looks cool. We always expected it to look cool, but the functionality, how does it move?
Right.
Will they put out a video that shows somebody actually moving this when it's ignited? We'll see.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If I can get my hands on one, I'm going to get one. So it's not like I'm not sitting here going like, oh, it's so stupid. People that buy them are idiots. No, I would like it to be slightly more refined, but I will get one because I've always wanted a lightsaber that behaves like a lightsaber.
Yeah, that I can go.
I mean, those fucking glass tube ones were pretty neat. They were a step up from the Kenner telescoping plastic ones I had when I was a kid that had, the hilt was so big so it would make sounds when you whipped it through the air. Like it had something to break up the wind. So it'd be like, ooh, ooh. It was so shitty. So when I saw what Master Effects was doing, I was like, oh my God, these are amazing. Look, you can light it up. The light goes up and down, but you still have this glass thing sticking out. These are what I've always wanted. I mean, the only thing I'm still waiting for is the dude that created a real one that cuts through shit to have that and not a proton pack strapped to my back to get it to work.
Essentially a giant bomb on your back.
So if you confuse what that guy on YouTube did with what they're doing at Disney, then we have our lightsabers and we're going to be stabbing them into some blast doors. But until now, it's really just for looks and show, and I would be happy to show off a lightsaber that looks like it is coming from the hilt, just like a real lightsaber, even if it is a big fat dildo looking hilt. All right, buddy. I'm sure there's a lot more shit that was released today that you could buy to honor Star Wars Day. I mean, quite frankly, I consider Star Wars Day to be a Hallmark holiday. It was cooked up just to sell shit like Valentine's Day. That's fine. We already talked about that. There's always time for Star Wars time over here. Every day is Star Wars Day. But the retailers out there, they didn't hold back. And one that is really kicking some of our asses, or will kick our ass, is Sideshow with their own products as well as the hot toy products that they carry. Because today, buddy, they unloaded new reveals, and a lot of them are already up for pre-order, and a lot of them are tied to The Mandalorian, which means I'll probably have to get them because someone holds a gun to my head with these things.
There we go. Sucking all those dollars right out.
So up first, check out this bad boy, The Mandalorian and Blurg collectible set. So you get Mando and his old school armor on a fully 1/6 scale Blurg mount. Huge. And it's going to cost you about $555 for this set.
That's fucking
so
insane.
To those of you that have been hounding me on Instagram and my DMs, taunting me with these, I can tell you right now, I am passing on the Mando and Blurg, and I'm also passing on the Blurg only because it's still $315 fucking dollars for a 1/6 scale Blurg. I just don't care. I just don't care that much about a mount. But if you missed out on Brown Outfit Din or not full Beskar Din, this is probably going to be the only way to get them now is through the deluxe set that is Mando and the Blurg together. So there you go. $555 pre-order open now via Sideshow. Up next, Stormtrooper Commander, and I put Mortar Trooper likely coming because anytime you see another character being used to sell a character, that background character is also going to become a figure to buy. But we are going to get a Commander, so this would be kind of be based off Season 2, Episode 6, the Rodriguez episode, where it was a good one. Neo Fett came in and ultimately saved the day after hounding Din a little bit. But you get this Stormtrooper, and like I said, that there's probably going to be a Mortar Trooper. This guy was not up for pre-order quite yet, but I'm assuming he's going to fall in the 260, 265 type of price range. And really, Nick, I don't know. I feel like once you have one standard bucket head, you have them all. I've got the Remnant Stormtrooper, so outside of just the orange shoulder pauldron, I just, this one isn't quite moving me, so I think I'll be able to pass on this guy.
There's not even a lot of the only accessories you get are the gun and then some obviously different hand.
That's why I think this one's probably going to be, that 250 to 265, but still I am going to pass on the Commander and hold out hope for the Mortar Trooper, because that one is a little unique looking. He's kind of got the paint job of the Flame Trooper, but it's yellow because I guess mortars equal yellow, fire equals red, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. Here's another one I can happily pass on, and it's a standalone Grogu. All right. I finally got my, here it is, not unboxed yet, but I finally got this gem of a collectible. This is the Hot Toys Full Beskar Din and Grogu Deluxe set. So I do have a Grogu. I do have him in a pram. And I just don't give a shit about the accessories you get with this to buy another one. Plus, I'll be getting another Grogu through the Ahsoka set we talked about last week.
I was going to say, at this point, I feel like any collector should have at least 5 different versions of Grogu. Yeah. There's been so many Grogu, Baby Yoda,
that's the deal. Dude, I'm still waiting on my
$400
$400 life-size version from Hot Toys. So it's I don't need any more Grogu. He's also been taken off the map for now, so he doesn't quite have the same juice that he used to. I think this is a fantastic 1/6 scale version of Grogu. I love the Lothcat. I love the accessories. I like that you can actually pose this Grogu versus the other ones that are kind of locked in position. But in this set, you're going to get, I believe, 3 different Grogus is the way I'm reading it, or you can pose them. A Froggy, the pram that Kawil makes, his little lunchbox that he was sitting in I believe season 2, and the Lothcat. Lothcat's a fucking gem. I have one at 112 scale. They are fantastic, but I just don't think I need this guy even at 145. But if you have Grogu super fans in your life, this present would make you their hero. So I'm not completely discounting it for collectors. This one here is a fucking must buy for me. I had a feeling when they teased the Bad Batch Hot Toys yesterday that these would be hard for me to pass up on. I've become a huge fan of the Clone Wars era, clones in particular, and I think I'm going to be a huge Bad Batch fan too. But today we actually got the glamour shots, and fuck, man, this Echo looks just excellent.
I was going to say the Echo. I love the way that they took Echo from the show and they made him look more true to life. They didn't try to mimic the show version. Right. They made him look like an emaciated Tamira
And they've
Morrison.
been doing that. We're finally, we've talked about this months ago, but there's an Ahsoka one from the Clone Wars that's coming out that she looks more live action. There's a Kenobi and a Skywalker that look more live action, but based on the Clone Wars. So they've been doing this, but I'm going to show you some here in a second. They're also going to start doing some pure animated sculpts again too. But Echo just looks so fucking pristine. Like the details, like you said, the face. I mean, I know Tamara's in there, but Echo has been so modified that it almost looks like a whole new character, right? As Nick said, he is kind of skinny looking versus some of the other clones. But just look at some of the shit you get. Like all the arm attachments we're probably going to witness him use in this season of the Bad Batch, but we see him now. He's got basically a Swiss Army attachment. He's got a C-3PO arm that extends. It's all fucking telescope and crazy. He's got a a piston hammer. It looks like you just smash someone's
Dude's
face
like
in.
Inspector Gadget.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. Yeah, he's got like a grappling hook he can use.
Yeah.
So this guy, for all the accessories you get, I was expecting him to be up there, but he actually clocked in at your standard price of $285. So he's up there. Grogu and the Stormtrooper may be right now, but he wasn't when we went live. And the Blurg and Mando, they're all up at Sideshow right now to pre-order. We got the link in our post if you want to check them out. I will be getting the Echo. That's a damn skippy one for me. And just like I said with the Mortar Trooper, who do you see in some of these product shots, Nick? Hunter. So he'll be next, and I'd be surprised if we don't get the whole batch. Honestly,
yeah, of course.
It was me and Hideous. We were kind of chatting, and he's like, "You gonna do it?" I'm like, "I don't know. I got to see what we're talking about. Is it going to be a 5-figure bundle that's over $1,000, or are they going to piecemeal them?" And it looks like they're going to piece them off, which will make it easier for someone like me to get them all. But if the rest look as good as Echo, that's pretty much a done deal. I'm going to have to get the whole fucking set. You can't break up the Bad Batch. You can break up the other named clone Nicks, but you can't break up the Bad Batch.
No. They are Clone Force 99 / the Bad Batch for a reason. They are a collective.
All right, so we did get some other teases, but we unfortunately don't have a ton of shots to go through. But it looks like Sideshow themselves. I do know this is Hot Toys. There's the logo down there. Or is it? No,
that's the Sideshow logo.
It looks like Sideshow is going to release, and I'm interested in Nick's opinion here, but it looks like Sideshow is releasing at least Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker in 1/6 scale premium format figure style. Obi-Wan and Anakin as they look in the Clone Wars. So they're animated faces.
Yeah. So my initial opinions right off the bat, Obi looks, I don't know if it's
creepy as fuck, right?
Yeah.
Something's wrong with Obi-Wan.
Anakin is spot on perfect.
Okay, good. That's what I was looking for. You aced the test.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I don't know what it is about Obi's
He doesn't
face.
look like he has a soul. Like his eyes are fucked up. His eyes are like too glassy. It's like he smoked a fucking bong or was sucking on a car tailpipe.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if it's because like you can't see a lot of the whites of his eyes. Like you can't see if you look at Anakin, you can see the whites of his eyes and it like looks more natural, like a natural eye. I don't know if it's just this shot, but like Obi's eyes, you can't see any whites in them. It's just like blue, like you said, like blue glass. Like nothing.
Yeah, there's something off. So, and again, this is just an initial reveal that they might improve it. So I think for now, my collecting meter on this line from Sideshow is it's warm. It's not hot, burning passion. I got to get it. It's warm. The Anakin definitely has me getting to that. Yeah, I got to collect this whole wave. But that Kenobi, there's something off. And you're right. It's 100% the eyes. They got the face sculpt down. They got the nice point on his beard that we see in the animated version of Kenobi. Obviously the outfit's there. But if you compare it to that Anakin shot, I mean, Anakin literally looks like he's walking out of an animation cell from the show.
Yeah, like that's picture.
Where
perfect.
Kenobi really looks like a fucking toy.
Yeah.
And then we also got teases of some Hot Toys. So there's the Hunter. Obviously not the full glamour set yet, but he's definitely coming. Kuiil's coming. That'll be a must-have for me because I have to. I've got IG-11. I've got both Mandos. You got to add Kuiil to the mix. But he'll be a hot toy. This I'm going to pass on because I have a feeling once my Scout Trooper shows up with his speeder bike, it's going to be obnoxiously large, my friend, to the point where it was like, why do I need this shit? So
1/6 scale speeder bike is going to be big.
Yeah, so they are, and I think we've talked about this before, but there is a Mando and Swoop bike from season 2 coming in, and I guess the one thing you could convince yourself if you already got the full Beskar, Mando, and Grogu is that this one technically has the appropriate thigh pad. They never corrected it for the initial release, but 1/6 scale vehicles, I just have a feeling they're going to be ridiculous to just even display. So I think I'm going to be getting out of that collecting business once my Scout Trooper and bike shows up.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, and I will admit, I still do have a little bit of a soft spot for the chibi aesthetic. And I've always appreciated Hot Toys' Cost Babies line. I never collected it because they weren't quite as easy or affordable as Pops. But they did tease a new line of Mando Cost Babies, and fuck, they're so perfect.
They're just so
they're
fucking
so
cute,
perfect.
man.
If you still like the chibi, and I do too, I just don't collect it anymore. But every one of these is a must-have. I mean, the Luke set with R2 is probably the highlight. But look at Neo Boba. I mean, he even looks like a badass as a chibi.
Yeah.
Ahsoka looks great. You got Bo in that takeoff pose, and then you got two really iconic moments from the season with Grogu. The one where
I love the wires.
Yeah, he's fucking with the wires. Remember the lesson? No. And then where he was eating his macaroons and threw up.
Yep.
So
I love it.
Those
man.
are out there.
This kind of stuff, like, I'm definitely not into the $200, $300 Barbie dolls and stuff like that. But like these little fuckers that I could probably pick up for $15-$20, like that look good on a desk, look good on the shelf behind me. Like that's something that I could get behind.
Yeah. Well, you can't be like the rest of us that literally hemorrhage money over these fucking things. So somebody has to save their dollars, and that will be Nick. All right, I got one more little collectible thing here, just because it was Bad Batch related, and my old love of Funko Pops, and quite frankly, if I still collected them, I'd be snagging this whole set. But the full Bad Batch set is out there now for pre-order. We'd love for you to use our link to Entertainment Earth, as we do get a little kickback commission style. But you have the 5 Batchers, and unfortunately Omega is a Target exclusive, and she's already sold out. And you also have an exclusive Hunter and Crosshair. They seem to have a little armor damage, and they come with a pin if you nab them on Amazon. But the 5 standards you can grab via Entertainment Earth using our link, and they really are. I mean, if you like chibi, if you like the pops, these are some very, very nice looking detailed pops that really capture the essence of the batch.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's it. So we're gonna move into the fan segment. We dropped one of our entries here these days because Nick was getting worked on and just tuned out of life. Sometimes he, like a Native American, he will go on a spirit walk to reconnect with the world.
Quest.
And yeah, he has vision quests, and sometimes those vision quests completely cloud his vision to the point where he forgets to update the battle bracket. So
it also upset me that we had so little votes.
there you go. He's getting back at all you assholes who are too lazy to vote.
Fuck you guys.
So we're just going to have fan question of the week responses, which we finally have a repetitive question back, because now we can just keep asking, hey, what was your favorite moment in the Bad Batch S1SX? That'll take care of itself for the next 15 weeks or so. But we'll do question of the week, and then, of course, we'll do that top 5 action to honor you Star Wars artists out there. Indeed. So, Nick, let me flip up the Slackerini, and we'll get started with the question.
The question is, like Matt said, favorite moment from the Bad Batch premiere and why? Go! And our first response here is from our PR fellow, Baron's Black Series. He says, just having new Star Wars, and they contradicted the comics Kanan Order 66 story. He loves the Star Wars contradictions there, Mr. Baron's Black.
I guess that's why the comics sometimes can be dangerous, especially when they're considered canon, because it's something that I feel, creators like a Filoni or Favreau can be like, fuck it, it was just in the comics. We can flesh it out a bit more. I'm
surprised too, because Filoni, I feel like if anybody is going to respect that canon,
it's one of his guys, right? I mean, this was all Rebels was all post George, so you would think.
But then again, like it being one of his guys, he's like, I don't care what these fucking comics guys did. I'm telling you what happened to Kanan.
And I mean, I'd have to go back and look, and maybe Baron knows more off the top of his head because it's been a few years. But I do believe that they leave it pretty open to where they could be like, what happened in the Bad Batch would still fit and not completely nuke that comic run. Because I said, I believe it's like, oh, I just ran and hid somewhere like a pussy.
Yeah. I mean, he can definitely still be running through that.
Of course. I mean, he ran away. Like they did sort of honor it. It's just in the comics, there was absolutely no mention of the Bad Batch or Hunter or any of that shit. So Baron is right. I said it myself. So there you go, Spencer. You got featured on the show again. Now get your ass back to work.
Yeah. Next up is from a new responder. This is Alina Murjami. I think I'm saying that right. Or I may be like just combining a whole bunch of different words in an IG handle, but she says Saw, all capital letters, because why the hell not? I mean, that was a pretty fucking big moment, and Saw Gerrera has become like this recurring character in this timeline. You know, like we get introduced to him in the Clone Wars much younger, and then now see him popping back up at the beginning.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is essentially the Clone Wars Saw. I mean, he's at best a year older than when we meet him in the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars only lasts 3 years, so
yeah.
But he is a good character for this era because he does kind of become a face of the darker side of the rebellion. You know, he has a great thread in Rebels where he's doing shady shit, but it's shit that pushes Mothma and the main Rebel Alliance to kind of get their shit together and start taking the Empire more seriously and figuring out about the Death Star. Saul was kind of a perfect ad for this moment because he is always the character that is like, listen, shit's fucked up all the time. People in power basically suck. Save yourself, fight back, protect the weak. And that's the message he gave here. He gives in Rebels. He gives in Rogue One. He gets a little loony because his whole life, essentially his adult life, has been nothing but having his planet invaded in war and destruction and loss.
Yeah, I mean, you can see why he was the way he was in Rogue One.
He wasn't a senator like Mothma or Organa living the high life in the Senate and being a ruler on a planet. He was on the ground fighting for his home, lost his sister, lost other family and friends. He is about as hardcore as a Civil War / guerrilla / rebel fighter you could get. Yeah. So good stuff there. Saw is always great to see. Next up, Action Figure Neverland says, when the clone troopers were hauling Shaak Ti's covered up corpse, I was like, cry, sad. All right.
So it's probably not Shaak Ti.
There's no way, because here's the other thing. I mean, if you look at their hand, it's green and purple. Shaak Ti is going to be orange at best. Shaak Ti was also killed at the Jedi Temple. Okay, so why would they fly her back to Kamino with clones? I mean, that was just clones returning from literally the last war they were at where they executed Order 66. They were just bringing the dead back because that's where they were called back to.
So probably not Shaak Ti, but still, it is that moment where you're like, man,
it was dark as fuck. I mean,
they brought this body back.
They really, even more so than the movies do. Well, I mean, the animated shit did a lot more than the movies did. But like we were saying, they show how fucking evil and callous the regular clones instantly became.
I would say just at the snap of a finger.
Done.
Like it wasn't.
No more bullshit. No more having Jedi generals as friends and confidants. Really not even respecting fellow clones. I mean, you heard that they're talking shit to the Bad Batch. Like, you freaks, losers, get out of here. Like, that's why the whole food fight starts. So they really take a fucking heel turn like none other with that Order 66 shit.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Next up is Jessup's Funko Photography. He says, Palpatine's Galactic Empire speech. We've seen and heard it before, but I thought it was neat seeing it from the Batch's perspective. And then also you get the animated version of Palpatine's face out there and giving the speech. And I do like how they like that audio was just straight from the movie too.
Oh, yeah.
Like that wasn't like redubbed audio or anything like that. That was
kind of like what
straight.
Jessup says. Just getting the commentary from the Bad Batch, because while they're clones and they were dedicated to the cause and winning missions, they clearly thought for themselves.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
when even Hunter, they're like, "What? The Jedi?" Like they knew right away. Like some shit's going on. Like we just executed our generals like that. I mean, what the fuck's that all about? And then Wrecker, he makes fun of Palpatine's appearance. So you do kind of get a whole new perspective. And Tech the whole time's going like, hey guys, I'm telling you, the clones are fucking programmed now. They're brainwashed. Yeah. And Palpatine's like,
remember what I
we're
said?
gonna take over the Galactic Empire, and they're all like, yo, like they're at a fucking rock concert and Jesus just came down from the sky, So
like all of them. Just
they are the regular clones. Unfortunately, as much of they were the heroes of the Clone Wars series. Instantly, within 10 minutes, they become the bad guys. They will be the main bad guys in addition to Fennec that the batch will be fighting off throughout this season. So yeah, it was neat to kind of see how not lunatic clones took that Empire Day speech.
Yeah, exactly. So good response there by Jessup's Funko Photography. Next up, Taco Otoko Toys. He says, when Wrecker got his doll back, that cracked me up real good. Well, it was such an emotional moment.
Well,
though.
dude,
like
even I don't know if you noticed the first time they go back to their pigsty. If you look in the background, Wrecker, that's the first thing he picks up, and he's like looking at it, but then he's like waving it in Crosshair's face, like talking shit to him, like bah, bah, bah. I mean, Wrecker truly is like a slow adult. For them.
He is like he that was what was sacrificed.
Yes, his brains and intelligence for the brawn. I love the guy. I'm sure he gets on the nerves of others because I mean they really do play it hard. Like he is the Hulk, like just let me break and explode type of character. But he had some good moments. And Nick, I don't know if you know or people in the chat, but I swear that doll came from something. It was kind of shaped in like a star pattern, and I was really stressing my brain like, where have I seen this before? Is this legit? Was it in Star Wars Resistance in that little girl's room? I don't know, but I felt like I saw it before, but I couldn't find anything on the internet for Lula or whatever the fuck he called it. Either way, the big guy likes himself some stuffed animals, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, yeah, he's a softie. He's a big softie. So that's the end of the fan responses for this week. Thank you all for responding. And yeah, basically every Tuesday morning now, you can find these questions that's going to ask about the most recent episode of Bad Batch. So hop on our IG, now 10,000 strong.
Well, maybe. Has it dropped
yet? Go on there, drop a response. Let us know how you feel, what you liked, and potentially what you would like to see in the next episodes upcoming. But yes, those will always be there on the Tuesdays. So thank you all for responding.
SW Props and Super Scoundrel today? I figured they'd be up in this piece for Star Wars Day.
Super Scoundrel. I don't know. He's our mod. Maybe
they're out doing their own Star Wars, and
maybe they might have some plans for some content they're making. I know that Devin threw up a new post on the IG with his
I don't know, maybe we pissed him off too, like Papa Palpatine, because he hasn't tagged us in any of these. I'm looking at it right now on the show. So
he was in our last
last week. I'm saying these new posts. I mean, he's not. Oh, there you go. He got us on this most recent one. He forgot us on his the Hunter one. I'll be sharing it on our IG. Yeah, Super Scoundrel has some awesome new Bad Batch art that he's put out there. Lots of May the 4th be with you. So I'll share that after the show. I don't want to take up anyone's time with me fucking around on my phone.
Beautiful stuff though. I mean,
at one point in time we were supposed to have Props on the show with us today, but he bounced us to later in May. So
he's like, "Hey man, I got shit to do."
Right.
No
he's
time.
Like, I'm gonna go on a Star Wars show that people actually watch and listen to on Star Wars Day versus one where people don't.
Yeah. But no, I'm excited to have Props on, and like I said, I'm a huge fan of Devin's work, and that's why I ordered a shirt from Devin from Super Scoundrel. I ordered the Mando Vice shirt that we featured a while back when he first put out those like 80s inspired Mando, style of artwork. I bought that shirt.
I'm doing it now.
So.
I can't help myself. I'm sharing all Super Scoundrels shit to our story. I can't really save them the feature because they say May the 4th be with you. So I want to capture them in a timely manner. But Nick, we're here. It's time for the top 5.
It's still going.
Star Wars fan artist features of the week. I could have kept that going for like another minute or two, I think.
If I tried to do that right now, I would probably pass out.
Everyone. Nick is he's what? How many hours post your second shot?
I got it at 9.
Oh yeah, you're starting to get into the funky zone potentially.
Yeah,
so.
I'm starting to like the arm pain's creeping up a little bit. And I was already telling Matt pre-show, like the fatigue, like I got fatigued from the first shot, but it kind of came and went pretty quickly. This one's kind of hanging around a little bit.
I was like, hey man, and I'm glad we didn't because I wasn't ready, but it's like, I might be able to be ready earlier. He's like, you know what, dude, I think I need to take a nap. So.
I was like, I laid down on the couch. I woke up and like I had like a 30-minute nap pre-show. And then I even had I almost never drink anything other than water. If you're on the live stream, you probably saw me sipping from this cup. This is nitro cold brew.
Well, hell, he even pissed. Like the guy I haven't even peed. This is like 2 shows in a row where I haven't taken a piss. So I don't know. Maybe I got a new prostate or something.
Yeah, no, he got a beefed up prostate now. But yeah, I'm starting to
look. I don't think Chaos must not have got the review from the one fan, right?
Yeah, the one guy.
He just said my ears.
That main guy always.
Yeah, he said, I really want to like the Star Wars Time show, but the main dude yells a lot and acts silly. So there you go. That's where that shit comes from. But anyways, before we get into Nick's top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week, just give my little ditty on how to get involved just in case you're someone new, which I highly doubt because we are hemorrhaging listeners these days. If May is anything like April, we'll be down to about 10 listeners a month. So we've either had a platform completely drop off or whatever I've been yelling about or acting silly about has literally turned off most of the people we gained last year when we started on new platforms and doing live streams. But anyways,
I think it was probably because there was such a long down period between the end of Mando S2 and the beginning of Bad Batch that people were like, well, there's nothing really happening.
I know you're positive, but again, if you really like a show, you tend to listen regardless. And April was just such a drastic drop off from even last April and months prior that it seems like something is up. I have verified our feed still works on the main platform, so it probably is just an attrition thing. And hey, it is what it is. We're not going to please everybody, but when you start losing like a swath of 50 to 100 listeners a month, that's not good. That doesn't. I know Nick likes doing this for fun, and I do too, but I put a lot of fucking time and effort into Star Wars Time, and it really is coming to a point where I need to start figuring out if it's truly worth the time investment. Because unlike Nick, I do kind of judge the quality of our content based on numbers, as most entertainers should. If numbers drop and don't come back, that's telling you something. Whether it's the way I talk or my language or my yelling, that's stuff I'm probably not going to be able to correct or want to correct. But if I do see a continued loss, it is eventually, I'm human, I'm eventually going to go, you know what, the world has spoken. I'm not quite as fantastic as I think in my own head, in my narcissistic head with this Star Wars shit, so what's the point? I could be spending more time playing Outriders. I could be spending more time doing toy photography. I could be spending more time getting other licenses and certificates for my real work. So it is. This for the first time. I'm just being honest. This for the first time since I've ever done any of this dumb shit where I'm starting to question my time investment into this project.
Well, there you go.
This isn't like, everyone feels sorry for Matt and blah, blah. I know those who listen, you listen because you like it. I'm just saying, for me, I don't know how many more years I can do this where there's just zero return on the time investment into the content. But anyways, after that sour note, if you do like this dumb shit and you are into Star Wars art of any kind, it could be any kind. I mean, if you want to do it with your feces and urine, have at it. Tattoos, finger paint, little kid art, toy photography, real ass paint, it doesn't matter. We want to see it. And the best way to do that is to follow us on Instagram and tag us. Tag the account and use our hashtag Star Wars Time Show. All right?
There you go.
Because if you do, I'm going to see it every day.
Now you know.
Every day. Even in a day like today where my dumb ass was up at 5:30 working on Star Wars stuff, getting content ready for no one to watch and consume it. I still took the time to go through everyone's fucking post. I can tell you other featured accounts don't do that. I can promise you that. And then I share. And at the end of the week, Nick picks the best. So we typically share up to 12 excellent Star Wars fan art pieces a day. And then Nick picks the top 5 to talk about on the show. So that's how you get involved. Hook it up. Let's do it. Break it down, Nick. Who is your first top 5?
There we go. Our first member of the top 5 this week is at Parallel Galactic. And Matt, you said it perfectly here. It's a good-looking composite shot. I would go a step further and say it's a great-looking composite shot here from Mr. Parallel Galactic. And what we see is the Millennium Falcon zipping its way through the sky of Cloud City, aka Bespin, and we see in the far, I guess you would say the far foreground, far background, you can see that the Falcon is flying towards the actual Cloud City station. You can see off to the left another little mining facility potentially there, and then a nice moon off in the distance. So I just thought that this was a really beautifully composed and composited shot.
Yeah,
here
and this
from at Parallel Galactic.
You have gotten good at this, Nick, identifying first and first. So I believe this was Parallel's first just feature on our account, and lo and behold, he also gets picked an honor to be in his or her first top 5.
And it says that this is the Hot Wheels Millennium Falcon. Is that right?
Yeah. No, Hot Wheels makes pretty decent looking ships, like, metal Star Wars ships. But, obviously it's probably no bigger than a hockey puck, maybe even smaller than that. And no, it is. It's just it's a nice composite job, because I believe Parallel shows you the original shot, right? If we go over to the account,
if you go to his page, it's literally just a shot of the Falcon on a green screen.
There you go. And then wipes the green, and then there you go. I mean, this is something where I'll never do it, but
I wonder if the composited image, like the background image, was composed like that to start, or if he added the individual elements.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that like there's a shot available that has like the actual Cloud City like home base station like we see, and a mining thing off to the side. I feel like he may have added those elements in separately.
Yeah, I mean, it could very well. That's kind of the beauty of composite work if you're good at it. I mean, I think with compositing, you have to be a great planner and you have to be a great visualizer, because for the most part, you're not staging your finished shot. You're staging parts of your shot that you're going to bring together, almost like a puzzle piece in the end. So, I mean, again, compositing of any level is impressive to me. You got to know how to use the fucking software. By the way, Mitchell's vs. Machines has a great line about Photoshop and how fucked up it is to learn. Just mark my words on that. Listen for it.
I remember learning it in school and having since lost all that ability.
I've said it before. I mean, I am a computer fucking scientist. I can figure out a lot of software if you give me some time and just let me poke around in it. Photoshop is damn near impossible to do so without specific targeted guides or YouTube videos. And I think that's kind of what the joke was in that cartoon, because, there's like these advanced robots, and she's essentially like, if I can teach myself Photoshop, I can teach myself anything. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So at @parallel_galactic. I believe a fairly fresh account. So
only 122 followers, and he's a fellow.
Yeah,
Aussie.
there you
We have
go.
a lot of Aussie New Zealanders in here, so go show some support for an Australian creator out there.
We have many of your kind that are fans of the Star Wars Time Show.
Exactly. So @parallel_galactic, great job with the composite shot. Next up, we have @Tanks TENKS 666 on Instagram. I believe this is a first time feature as well, at least in the top 5. I don't know about in the actual the Matt featured folder, but what we have here is actually a very clean, very nicely done shot of a Tusken Raider on the ridge. We assume that this is the ridge on Tatooine. You see the twin suns in the background with his long rifle drawn, a human skull at his feet, staring down at somebody passing through and potentially looking to take a shot. I mean, you don't see a lot of Tusken Raider shots, so that's what kind of grabbed me here.
Yeah, Nick, I think this is a statue, and statues always give you some radical dynamic poses, and that definitely sells this shot. I love how the cloak's all strung out and caught in the wind. Tanks did a great job kind of layering in the twin suns and some of the background.
He says, so I'm looking at the original shot. He says it's a Kotobukiya 1/7 scale Tusken Raider statue.
Yes, that's pretty sweet. So there you go. So the statue there, you can see what is practical in the shot is clearly the Tusken, and then the rocks he's standing on and the skull. All the other stuff, it looks like Tanks either layered in practically or digitally to just kind of sell the scene a bit more.
Yeah, no, I think you did a really good job of adding to that already, basically matching the landscape that was put forward on the statue and then, filling it in the background. I thought that was a very good job. But yeah, man, you don't see a lot of Tuskens. I don't know if it's just because there's not a lot of, figures of them out there, or if they're just more difficult to
they're actually one of the better looking Hasbro, at least at the 1/12 scale. I mean, they're a damn good detailed Black Series figure, and then they have the soft goods tunic. I believe these guys were archive released again for Army builders. But yeah, I mean, hey, love them or hate them, I like the way they talk, and you got to appreciate the way a Tusken wraps its head, if anything else.
Yeah, that's some dedication to keeping your skin. I mean, they literally have to do that because they live in the middle of a fucking desert and they have very little cover. So well done by the Tuskens, and then well done by @TENKS 666 on Instagram.
We're almost done, buddy.
Okay.
5 more minutes. Okay.
We're almost done, Charlie. Next up is a fantastic shot here of Kylo. This is Tross Kylo with the cracked and destroyed helmet by CGE Rock. And what I really like here is the lightsaber effect that he does. I don't know if this is actually just a lightsaber that comes lit like this, but it just looks so different than your standard post-processing.
Here's my guess on this one. I think CG Rock's a huge account and a badass toy photographer, by the way. I'm glad they started tagging us again. I feel like CG Rock almost gets these figures provided for him for this type of work, because what we're looking at here, Nick, and obviously I also may live in Hong Kong and get these much quicker than we do in the States.
He lives in Japan,
okay.
I think.
Yeah,
So
Japan.
Closer.
So yeah, Official Works, Hot Toys Bandai. So there you go. So this guy is doing photo blogging for Hot Toys with these figures that are soon to release. And what we're looking at here, at least I'm on CG Rock's page right now. This is the Hot Toys Tross Kylo Ren. So, Nick, I do believe that is the saber lighting up itself, and he added in just kind of the particle effects. What I don't know for sure, and it's looking like it may be, but it looks like even the helmet might light up a bit. Or, maybe he was just accenting it in post. But, Yes.
I mean, either way, that looks so nasty, like that saber with just the natural ignition and color on it without having to go in and like fill in the color.
Yeah, I mean, dude, there was multiple you could have shared from him this week because I think I featured him a few times. He was showing off the 1/6 scale Scout Trooper and speeder bike that I was just bitching about.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jared just confirmed he does work with Hot Toys for this type of stuff. So I'm assuming they send him one and be like, hey, dude, take a bunch of pimp ass shots and share them, and you keep the figure type of deal.
Yeah, no, I mean,
but even like
it just,
the helmetless shot of Kylo when he's on the Death Star. I mean, love or hate the movie, love or hate the character, but I mean, it's a damn good looking 1/6 scale Kylo Ren. All right, the helmet does light up. That's confirmed. So, Nick, you were right. Everything in there is probably practical outside of obviously the atmosphere effect and that molten particle shit dripping off the saber.
Yeah, I mean it's just nasty. I mean it's an incredible pose. Just it's very simplistic setup and using exactly what the figure gives you is wow. Yeah, it's just really eye catching. That Tross Kylo from Hot Toys. So I'm sure people out there in the community already know this guy, but at CGE Rock on Instagram, 55,000 followers, huge account, and very happy to see that they tag us occasionally. So
I was happy for that. I don't know if that's one of our biggest cheerleaders in the big account level is definitely Sir Dork, so it's nice to see him pop in here at the end. But Jared always, if we feature him, he always makes sure to blast out in the story, not just, hey, thanks, but hey, tag your shit Star Wars Time show. And I know it sounds lame, but it means a lot to someone like me that's got fucking mental problems with this shit. I explained it earlier. It's not right. It's probably not the way to look at things, and I shouldn't take everything so personal because I know no one is really thinking about Matt and Star Wars Time show when they're sharing in their fucking art. But I do sometimes. It's like, hey, look at these big boys. They share all these other Star Wars fan podcast bullshit. No one pays attention to us. Wow, I want to cry and take my ball and go home. What can I say? I'm not perfect. All right, so at CGE Rock, a Mac Daddy amongst toy photographers. You always know you're a Mac Daddy once you start getting paid to do it or supplied with high-end figures to do it.
Indeed. So next up in the top five, we had at Carl P _photography, and this is just a sick Lego Revan shot. Lego Darth Revan, so he's dual wielding his purple and his red sabers, and he's got him in like it's obviously not a Star Destroyer hallway, but it's like an Old Republic ship hallway, and the little Lego Darth Revan just pops.
He's a pimp, man.
He catches them.
It's a pimp. It is probably the pimpiest of Lego minifigures I've ever seen. I don't know if this is legit or if this is a full custom Lego minifigure. I'm trying to think. Would Revan ever show up in a Lego set? Probably not.
I don't know, man. Probably not. Yeah. Let me see if do
a little research on that.
But shot collaboration, Darth Revan and Menacing Foe, great custom fig by Firestar Toys.
There you go.
There we go.
Firestar Toys or Firestar Toys. They make some kick-ass custom Lego arm pieces, leg pieces, and clearly minifigures. And really a lot of the big Lego photographers out there work with that. Is it Firestar or Firestarter?
Firestar.
Okay, yeah, they work with Firestar on some of these shots. So
and the scene, the scenery, the background that I was mentioning, like this Old Republic ship hallway is from Uncertain Scenery. So that's what
I'm a sucker for. Sometimes the Lego shots don't do great that we feature on our account, but I fucking love Lego photography. I mean, it's something I wish I did. I've got so many damn Legos now, but it's like, hey, dude, chill out. Just stick with figures. Don't fuck up another hobby. There's just something about this little Revan. Like I'm looking at it,
dude,
and nasty. I feel like he's looking at me, going like, I'm gonna fuck you up. right?
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to chop you
Exactly.
in half
He's like,
with these two tiny. Like, I feel like even at mini Lego figure size, he could still.
Yeah,
kill
he would
him.
jump up and just like he would kill me. Death of 1,000 lightsaber stabs, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's just over for me. There's nothing I can do about it.
Man, that is a charming little minifigure.
Yeah, I know, right, man? That's a beautiful shot. So at Carl P _photography with the absolutely fantastic custom minifig Revan shots here. Just beautiful work. And here we are.
You saved the best for last. Is that what you're going to say?
We're at the last one. We're at the last one. And I have to take a moment here to just say that this person has been hounding me nonstop about not having a top 5.
He is a champion of being a pain in the ass. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. I feel like this person has a calendar where he's been Xing off days since his last top 5. Yeah. And each day his hatred with me has been growing exponentially larger. But here we are. Back in the top 5 is at Gregu Snaps.
Hey now, Gregu boy.
The first time in the top 5 with his new name, the artist formerly known as Star Wars Black Series 2019, has made his way back into the Star Wars Time Show top 5. And I have to say that Gregu really showed out with this one. This is a very creative shot from Mr.
I dug
Gregu
it too.
Snaps.
It's for those that aren't watching, we try to explain best we can, because I'm sure once this segment hits and you're in the radio, you probably just turn it off. Look, Greg had the episode down there too, episode 142. He says he's joking. That's why we love him. But dude, I don't know if this is how Greg did this. It's Jar Jar is essentially
fourth wall.
Yeah, fourth wall, 3D, almost 3D-esque looking, reaching out of a photo and grabbing the heart icon off of an Instagram post, and it even says liked by Sir Dork and others. I see he's got some other podcast logo on there, so that's a strike.
No, he's got you on there too. Haywood Pop's the last.
Oh, that's
one.
Okay. You know, I've essentially sacrificed Haywood Pop for Star Wars Time Show, so I don't know about that other podcast being included in there, but I guess the Haywood Pop, I'll give him a little bit of credit for that. It really is. It's a fun shot. It's a cool shot. It's a shot that's like, damn, how'd he do that? I know he kind of did another one of this style. I don't know if there's an app out there that does this. I've seen animators do this where like their picture will kind of reach out of the photo and manipulate the Instagram box, if you will. He's saying it's easy as piss. Even Matt can do it. Well, it better be pretty fucking easy then, because about the only thing I can do these days is color grading and lightsaber effects, and that's about all I want to do. But I really did, Nick. I'm glad you picked it, even though Greg probably bitches more than we'd like to hear about the top 5. But he's just he's into the show. We have to appreciate that, and he likes when we talk nice things about his art. But
I will say that, like, if there's one criticism that I can give of Greg in his photography, it's that a lot of his shots just look similar. Like, he uses very similar backgrounds and setups for a lot of his shots. So like, you can sometimes they can get lost because it's like they all look so similar.
We've talked about this before.
Just,
all of us. I mean, I look at this stuff every day for an hour a day. At this point in time, if there was a game show on Guess the Toy Photographer, I would be Ken Jennings.
Yeah,
you couldn't beat me. Like I can pick out pretty much anyone's style at this point in time without seeing their name.
Yeah. But this is like the reason that it caught my eye, and I didn't even know that it was Greg, is because it's so different than anything he's ever done
just
before.
Said, "Fuck you, Nick."
Hey, man, it's okay. I take the hate in stride, but it's like if you look at Greg's feed and you scroll through,
of course,
like a lot of fire, a lot of like dark background stuff like that, and you get to this shot and you're like, whoa, and it kind of
we all do it. I'm the same one. If you look at my feed right now, it's all the fucking same. It's colored smoke shit. It really is. I mean, that's why I think when people see me actually set up a miniature, like a scene, and take 10 minutes to use more than one figure, they're like, holy shit, this guy got motivated to do something besides the same shit he always does.
Yeah. But it's not like Greg just used a different background. Like Greg literally like came up with a completely new style.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I was wondering if you would actually pick up on it, because I know sometimes you like just to kind of turn his screws, because he is so vocal about me. I mean, he's like me with people listening to Star Wars Time, right? It's kind of the same thing. So no wonder people tune me out. But
the reason that it made it is because I didn't know it was
there
Greg.
You go.
No. I mean, this was really a creative shot, and I really like the work that
cheer
Greg
up,
threw in to
Greggy.
make it, even though if it was easy.
Cheer up, Greggy. It is pretty cool. I did like it. It does stand out. And honestly, using Jar Jar was a perfect choice, because he seems like someone that would break the fourth wall and try to steal your likes.
Yeah. So at Gregu_snaps on the Instagram, go give him a follow. He's a very consistent toy photographer and a big fan of our show. So we appreciate the love and support.
We're not doing shit for 10,000, because the 10,000 followers drops in and out. So until it's a firm 10,000, I'm not going to say we have 10,000. Even then, we're still not going to do shit. All right.
Yeah. Well, like we teased in the beginning of this episode, next episode, there will be a new little wrinkle to the show for all of you fans out there that we need your support on. Yeah. So in episode 161, that's one thing that will be new. That'll be our 10,000, marking our 10,000, I guess, will be what we drop in episode 161.
Until you motherfuckers start getting us shit, like more listeners that don't tune out or get, cancel us over stuff that they are mad about being canceled, we ain't doing shit. All right. So you guys get us every Tuesday. That's enough.
Yeah. That's the end of the top 5 for this
sir.
week. And that's the end of the show. So Matt, bring us home with that beautiful dance.
May the 4th be with us, right? May the 4th be with you. May the 4th be with you. But we know here it's Star Wars Day every day, because there's always time for Star Wars Time. And the best way to figure that out, my friends, is to do that dance like Nick was saying. Shake the shoulders, wiggle those boobies, and move on over to StarWarsTime.net on your browser or on your mobile device, because we are mobile friendly. On StarWarsTime.net, you'll see all the content. A lot of the dumb shit we talk about on the show can be found on the website before we spew those bad hot takes about it every Tuesday on the live stream, which you can catch on YouTube. Just check out Star Wars Time Show while you're on that app. Search it, you'll find us, you'll subscribe to us. You see how I did that? I'm using the Force. The fingers are waving. Here it goes. Yes, Trevor, live long and prosper. But in all seriousness, please, StarWarsTime.net. It's the easiest place to go to get looped into the Star Wars Time Show if you're new or if you forgot to do the right thing. And the right thing is following us on a podcast platform of your choice. You can see a few right here for you, right there in the right sidebar. Or we've got a nice little link in the menu that says subscribe to podcasts. And we're there. We're on all the platforms. We need some new juice, and the way to give us new juice is finding new blood and convincing said new blood to click on the ratings and reviews. I think we added a whole rating last week, Nick, on iTunes, which helps, but we're still only at 35. We need to get that iTunes close to 100.
50. That's the
all
next
right. We'll shoot
50.
for 50, but he's not kidding. If you actually go on iTunes and search Star Wars podcasts, look at which ones show up first and look at their ratings and reviews. I bet you their fans gave them a lot more than 30. You son of a bitches. But that's why we need new ones. We've tapped the super fans dry. There's only so many body parts they can chop off and offer up to the gods of the Star Wars Time Show. So please, if you're new, or if you know someone new that may get down with a slightly off-center Star Wars podcast, let them know about the Star Wars Time Show. Give them StarWarsTime.net and point them to the promised land. You can also find our straight-up YouTube channel on StarWarsTime.net if you do not feel like searching for it on YouTube. But seriously, like Jared's saying in the chat here, even the simple act of liking this live stream goes a long way with our AI bot overlords. It's all about telling the Googles of the world that you think we are worth listening to. If they pick that up, they will start sharing with more. Right? StarWarsTime.net, where every day is May the 4th. And no, we're not doing any, what's tomorrow? Revenge of the 5th?
Revenge of the 5th,
All right, get over it. Like I said, this is all Hallmark type of shit cooked up for Star Wars to sell more products to the non-hardcore types. There's always time for Star Wars time. Every damn day is Star Wars Day when you're hanging out with the bros at the SWTS. We know the saying. I don't need to repeat it, but I'll leave you with this. If you listen to this show, the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with all of you. Always.